gentlemen, I am standing with the winners of the Dota 2 Telkom DGC Championships, BBD Dota 2.
The GG is called. Bravado Gaming are your Telkom DGL Masters champions.
The Kings are kneeling right now because WRG are all over them. They're going to pull back Odu. He gets off a really good ultimate, but the tornado disrupts it once more. Bravado's falling apart here. They're about to be facing Megas. It's done. The GG's called. WRG are your winners. WRG win DGL Masters.
And WRG take the championship. Well done to them, boys. The end of an era. And that is it. I don't think there's more. And your great champions are Sinister Bomb.
And he's finally broken the curse. The man himself, Adestum there, shouting out above his team. The shouts of true victory.
You're watching the Telkom VS Gaming Dota 2 2019 Masters.
And RDK has finally done it. He finally will raise that trophy.
Oh my God.
Because this is it. It is decided. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is GG!
Goliath Gaming! What?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting day here at the Telkom VS Gaming Championships. Of course, I'm Halbert, and I'm joined by some fantastic people to discuss the upcoming matchup today that I'm sure is going to be just as exciting as the one we cast yesterday. Of course, allow me to introduce the panel, Scarpy Dota, Not a Hero, and Santa. Everyone, welcome to the panel. Nice to have you guys here.
Thank you.
How's it, guys? Thanks
Thank
for
you
having us. Some good Dota coming up tonight.
I hope so. We've been blessed, I think, throughout this entire tournament with some great Dota. So hopefully this one will once again just be another repeat of some of the fantastic stuff we've seen in the group stages, of course, now in the main event. Gents, obviously two sides that are a little bit newer, I would say, to the upper bracket, as it were. As far as teams go, Carbon versus OG Origin. Let's just start with the big question. Who's our favorites going into this one?
I think Omnius is definitely the favorites here. Like Carbon qualified through the first div when Omnius I think they had a 6th or 7th seed coming into the tournament. So I definitely think Omnius have an edge here, and the boys like Tatsu and Unique have been playing really good Dota.
I agree, for sure.
I'll go against the curve. I'm the underdog man. There's got to be someone on the other side, right?
Of course. I'm not counting out Carbon whatsoever.
No,
I
100%
definitely
not.
think they can take it as well.
I think they got some names there, right?
I agree.
They got some
I
players
agree.
that have been around.
Yeah, well, Phoenix is playing good Dota as well. He's on Carbon. I think he's playing mid for them. He's been playing really well. So mid matchup is going to be something interesting. 6-6 versus Phoenix. That matchup will have an influence on the game. Like whoever gets ahead there is definitely going to have a big impact.
So once again, a lot to play for here. I mean, both these sides obviously would see this as a game they can win. There's no doubt about that. But neither of these two sides will go into this feeling like they're totally outgunned. They don't have the possibility of winning this one. And as you mentioned, there's some core players. But are there any particular, I guess, issues that you think for these sides going into the upper bracket, the nerves or anything like that that might come into play, or do you think that these two sides will be fairly, let's say, just relaxed coming into this first matchup?
Well, I think Omnius in that regard have much more experience in like the form of Fury. He's an old head.
To say the same.
Yeah, he's an old head. He's been around for a while. And Fury is also someone that's very calm. Like Fury, I believe Fury climbed rank by just keeping like his teammates calm. Like the demeanor he speaks to people in a game is very much like guys, calm down. Let's do this. Let's go here. So from an experience perspective, I definitely think Fury has the edge. And it's an upper bracket game. Like there is some pressure here.
Yeah, I think you still got that buffer, right? If you're in the lower bracket, you just like it's over. So maybe they're going to play a bit more confident Dota. Maybe I don't know. What do you think, Santa?
I think it goes both ways, right? Because if you're lower bracket, you got to go for it. You have to. That's your final shot in staying in the tournament. But I mean, also first game upper bracket for them, so you definitely want to start off with bang. You want to start off good. If you lose your first upper bracket game, you essentially just started lower bracket, right?
And also saying this, the loser here plays us, and
Yeah.
neither of these
That's
teams
very
want to do
true.
that.
On that note, I think all four of us were there, right? When Fury went like, what was it, 0-16 in one of the games?
Yeah, he was still in my team when that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. Still as well.
So it can happen. It
Yeah.
can happen.
Whose fault was that? Was it your fault? Was it his fault? That's what we got to clear up here.
You win as a team, lose as a team, dude.
Ah,
So no one's fault except the whole group.
okay. So there we go. There we
Are
have
you
it.
sure you're
So,
playing Dota?
yeah.
five man game. That's what a lot of people fail to realize.
You know, the honest truth, because the Dota proverb I know is it doesn't take one player to win a game, but it does take one player to lose one. So I like where you're going with this. I think yours is a far better analogy to use for a team game. To be
Can't,
fair,
can't blame your divine 4 +5 supports in a game if you lose. Like, come now. Like,
Fair. He's really done a great job himself, though. He's improved. Gee, when we think about when he started playing with his brother, uh, the place that they were at, he was like just these like a skilled player with the brother with the cool head, and he's like really evolved as a player over time. So I just like watching Fury play Dota. Honestly,
even this year, like the stint he was playing with us, like from like the XT squad he came from and playing with us, like we played a much more like aggressive style of Dota, and it kind of looks like he took a little bit of that with him to Omnius, because like when we were recently playing them in scrims and so on, like they were running at us at like 5-6 minutes, and I was like, but this is a Fury team, like how can they be running at us at 6 minutes? Like
Yeah.
it was very like unexpected.
why is there not a warlock on the other side? Kind of questions, you know.
Yeah, Fury's playing Grimstroke. What's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's quite interesting. So, do you think that it benefits a team if you try and play aggressively, having somebody with a very calm demeanor?
Kraus?
I think the metas change over time, and as the metas change, so should your opinion about the game and the way you approach the game. Sometimes
Yeah.
you should be calm. Sometimes you should be, let's just chill it, boys. Let's just stay here, be safe, don't get picked off. Where other times it's like,
I also think
yeah,
when you have a player like Tatsu at the moment, like the guy is starting to play really good Dota. Like people are starting to notice him. And if you play an aggressive style of Dota with a carry like Tatsu, like that's a guy that can take over the game. Like you cannot just ignore him.
I
Like
think his biblical appearance also does something for them, right?
Also, I mean,
yeah.
just don't forget as well his attitude towards it. When we had him on the panel, he was one of the players who I think ignored the I'd say the hierarchy in a way and how they spoke. Most players would kind of were looking at the energy and System 5 as this, really dominant force, and they were focusing almost like a top 3 finish kind of thing, like playing for that third spot. But Tatsu was one of the guys, and of course there were other people who wanted to win the whole thing, but Tatsu was one of the guys that said, I think it was Tatsu, said we're here to win the whole thing. So I definitely think that he's got the hunger to progress far into and deep into this tournament. And if this will help a lot. Obviously, if you win this, there's already going to be a number of sides will be eliminated before you even have to play again. And as you mentioned, you really don't want to have to go lower bracket and I mean very confidently apparently playing against Seoul to still have to beat Aura, may I add to that, before they would have to play the loser of this game. But
It's kind of a little inside joke between me and Fury. So Fury is like, so if we mess up tonight, like we'll see you guys in the lower bracket. So there's kind of like a bit of banter there. So yeah, we do still have Aura Gaming. Not underestimating them. We'll play some Dota, but
that's a very political answer. Well, I won't praise you guys, but I think the confidence, and that's what we want to see. I mean, we don't want to see teams going into events expecting to lose, or if
say
we
that
get
though,
there.
like Carbon can play some Dota, eh? Like we lost a series to them this year, so like they can play some Dota. The games were hard, they were tough, they were gritty, and they're not out of this. Like I do think Omnius is the slight favorites, but like I said, if Fenix comes out of this lane strong, like he's going to have a massive impact on the game.
So in all honesty, just from your perspective, as you mentioned, there is a chance, and let's call it a 50-50 chance, just to go there. But you obviously would be favorites going up against Aura. So assuming you beat Aura, you go into this next round. who would you actually want to play between Origin and Carbon with your tournament lives on the line right from the get go?
Krass.
I want to play Origin, man. I want to play Origin. Just
I want a rematch, dude. Like
yeah. I
like
get fed
I want
up from
I
these
want us
games,
to be the
so
team that sends Origin home. Like that would then I can hold that over Fury's head for like the next year. Like
and
that
I
would
can
be great.
promise you they want to be the team that sends us home as well. So
Probably, yeah.
It's funny you guys say this because it feels like there'll be no like actual like animosity with either of these outcomes. It'll just be like, hey, this is how it went. But I think just to also recap, of course, talking about what the lower bracket might look like. Obviously, the other match going on tonight is XD taking on Inexorable Gaming. I'm
That's a
just
rough one.
curious. Okay, yeah, jump in. What was your thoughts on that one?
So NX picked up Yappa that played for WRG last year. He's playing carry for them at the moment. I think his addition to that team has lifted them like out of like the bottom prem tier teams. I think they're actually contenders. Where they used to be like a 50-50 team. They're either going to show up and play Dota or they're going to show up and just like throw the game. So like having Yappa there, like that's like it's a massive lift. Like I think, but what's Yappa's rank at the moment, Kraus? Like Divine 5,
oh, I'm
Immortal.
not sure. I'm not sure.
Like he's a really good Dota player. Like so, offlane for WRG last year, playing carry for them now, and playing a lot of Sven. And I think he's got like a 70% win rate of Sven over the last 2 months.
Wow.
So XD once again, obviously the favorites. They came in second seed into the tournament.
I mean, technically, I think they won their group, so they would be tied for first seed, I
First seed.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for first or second seed for groups in their group, and then you have NX who's got Yappa there, and Shadowtrex Donnie's playing offlane for them. So that's going to be a tight series, eh? Like that can go both ways as well. There's some hectic Dota going on tonight. Like
When did they pick up Jap out of curiosity? Was it just before the main event, or
no, he was playing for them in the
picked up
last leg.
before?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think last season.
I
Yeah.
did see him
So
play.
leg 3 he was playing for them.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
think
been
he was
around,
playing
right?
at all before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to play for XD actually.
Yes.
But I think in I want to say 2018. I'm not sure how
He
accurate
played
that
with
is.
Fury and Cloud, and I remember it was in Cape Town, right? When he was playing for them.
I mean, if it's 2018, then I think that does mean it would be the
Hmm.
EG event in Cape Town for the Telkom VS Gaming Masters. So I think but
So you had both the brothers, Cloud, Jappa, and someone else. It was I don't.
Wasn't it
remember who
Harry
was.
the Hamster was with him in that team?
No, it was Rockley.
Ah,
All right.
yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes,
you're right.
you are very,
That
very
was
right.
that squad. So yeah, I mean, Jappa's played in quite a few teams, and I think he's had mixed results, right? He's like moments of absolute like devastating teams, and then like they've had some blimps. So it's hard to like put your finger on it, but like you say, he's individually focused on himself and improved himself. And
Well,
they look
there was a stage last year where if you were playing SWRG, you banned Bounty Hunter because they will pick offlane Bounty for Yappa. And it was the biggest nightmare thing, this little thing stealing your gold the whole time that is insanely tanky and fast. Like you get onto him, you can't kill him, and then he just runs away. Or he just runs away in general, you can't catch him. Like if you played WRG last year with Yappa, you banned Bounty Hunter. Obviously he's playing carry now, but like carry Bounty, maybe?
no.
Yeah.
I didn't
hate
say.
it.
It was just like no, like
Wait,
no, it's not happening.
the Ags on Bounty is so cool though. Like I think it's I don't know. It's maybe not super viable. I don't think it's A tier or S tier, but I do think it's maybe a B tier pick. If you
From
got
like
something to play around it.
20k net worth in 10 minutes just because you
Yeah.
got eggs on Bounty.
I've seen people steal like 20k, and that's like that's
Yeah.
essentially 40k difference, right? Because you're gaining 20k and they're losing 20k.
Yeah.
So that's
true.
significant.
That's a fair
I
point.
really hope we don't see that tonight. Like that is not what I want to see. And
Things that aren't fun in Dota.
no,
Watching a
wood.
bounty hunter steal a carry's gold
No.
for 10 minutes of the game.
Touch wood. So that must not happen tonight. So Yappa can play Sven all he wants, but no bounty hunters, please.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite keen to see this win. Actually, it's one of those heroes that I think is incredibly exciting to cast. It's just, the ability for it to blow somebody up or get that, really good stun, especially when it gets a Superman ulti, Superman ulti is
You
storm.
just
Hammer.
want to shout Superman.
The Ag's enabling him to make a bit more flashy plays these days.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool for Sven.
But
That's one.
knowing B, like he's gonna do his homework. He's not gonna give them Sven.
Yeah, but even for either side, right? Both of the games coming up, like Sven has been changed into this hero that used to be kited a lot, and now just given this tremendous amount of mobility, and people are like not even going blink anymore. So that means he's getting items with better stats. It's just the hero overall, just from that Ags change, is significantly better. Like
So I don't.
Lifestealer needs something like that for him to move.
So I
around
don't
the
know
map.
if you saw the EG game in the OGA Dota Pit tournament, and EG was playing. I think it was against VP, and VP had a Sven, and their only solution to Sven was to buy a blink dagger on every single one of their heroes. They had 5 blink daggers on their roster, and the moment Sven would storm hammer, the person would just blink, just to dodge it, because that's how strong they thought it was. Like that 5 heroes, they're losing the game, but 5 heroes are building a blink dagger because he's just one-shotting the supports.
And someone procs your blink dagger and you can't jump away, and then you spend 2,200 gold on
Nothing. There's no stats in that item, so literally just filling that inventory. Oh man, I wish you were an Ironwood branch right now at the moment. Okay, so otherwise, just a little bit of background as well into what happened last night. If you guys missed out or you didn't catch the second off-stream game, NG Esports beat DC 2-0. Apparently, it was in quite convincing fashion, from what I understand. And WOG put up a bit of a fight in game one, but ultimately fell to Sinister 5 in game 2 quite convincingly as well, which sets us up for a really big one in that upper bracket, with gives us Energy versus Sin 5, going to be a real cracker. And of course, as mentioned, talking about this one, I think a really good game here coming up as well, potentially between, obviously the winner of this match, the winner of XD versus INX. There's, I think, a lot of close games. It's almost interesting because I'd say that Sinister 5 and NG are probably on paper your strongest teams at the moment, but the way the brackets played out has meant that there are closer games earlier on in this tournament. I'm sure you guys agree.
Yeah, it makes things exciting though, because it means like one of these big teams has to come down to the lower brackets and to the slugfest where upsets happen.
It's kind of worrying as well. Like I must admit, it's been a long time since I've played competitive Dota, but I always used to have like one eye on what it looked like in the lower bracket, and you get these like really hungry teams. I mean, obviously, Salt being one of them, but there's a couple of sides here that probably want to make a point. I mean, as a practical example, you also have, other than Saltwater, you have Rock Lefi, which of course boasts a player like Traxion. You can't really take those sides lightly. I mean,
he's a champion, right? He's a
That's
Masters champion in that team.
yeah, he's defending as well. He's he won last year, so you don't really want to be any side dropping down early on. So as you mentioned, it's going to obviously winning this one is critical because it actually gets you ahead of a lot of those sides. I mean, for example, if as mentioned, you guys were to win your first matchup and you take on one of the winner brackets, upper bracket teams, that would mean that one of the upper bracket sides you have to contend with is already gone by the time you drop down, just by winning the first upper bracket match. So it's a pretty big deal for this match we're about to cast out.
Doesn't it also secure you like top 6 or top 8 instantly?
I'm bad at this kind of thing, but I do believe that I'm actually looking at a little doc here. So let me see. So if you were to win the first one, you would play in low bracket round 3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, top 6.
Yeah, top 6 instantly. Like that's
that's comfortable, right? You feel a bit more confident if you're around there.
Well, yeah, you're skipping like what? Unless you
10
skip
teams.
10 teams.
Yeah.
Just by winning your first match. Yes, it is upper bracket, but you're missing potentially out on 10 teams that are also hungry.
And you also have to play a lot more Dota in the lower bracket, right? Do you think that's a pro of being in the lower bracket, or like?
I guess if you win.
How seldom do teams that do the lower bracket of any tournament win? I'm sure the statistics are against them. I know there's a couple of TRs that went that way.
Well, the last 2 TIs was that exact opposite. OG was just waiting in the final and preparing.
I mean,
fresh.
Yeah.
So
I think it's changed. I think back in, I'd say, like TI5 esque kind of timelines. I think that playing the lower bracket was an advantage because because the meta would adapt and you'd have more time to practice the new meta, almost the tournament meta. But nowadays it feels more like although the tournament does adapt, the teams are good enough to just study what's happening and then adjust accordingly by the time they reach there. And we saw like the IO, like there's just one of those heroes that people thought they had counters to and they were wrong. So by the time they reached the finals, like, well, here's like, oh, it doesn't work. Never mind.
Pala dies. Okay, GG.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, pretty much that. Right. Well, anyway, so yeah, let's focus directly on this one. We've spoken a little bit about the two teams, particularly speaking about what Omnius are able to bring to the table. What do you think? I mean, we're saying that they're the favorites going in. What do Origin need to do to upset the apple cart here and take a win?
You mean Carbon?
Carbon.
Oh, excuse me, so
Mm-hmm.
Carbon, wrong team.
So like I think it's about lanes. Like you can't give Origin good lanes, because the moment you give them good lanes, they take over the game. So if you like kind of choke them in the laning phase, then people tend to go back to old habits and they start playing very passively. They start playing reactionary Dota and they try and farm themselves back into the game, which in this patch is very doable. But like Carbon just needs to come out of the bases like swinging, like from the start of the game. Make sure you've got pressure.
They,
Like you
they need
guys
to be
saw,
first. They need to be first. Like I'm gonna throw Origin under the bus here a bit, but they like to group at around 4 minutes 30 middle, and they like to use that first card
Taking
to get that
notes.
tower.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
if Carbon's listening,
actually a lot of teams have been doing
be
that. So
first.
like on your 5 minute Carty spawn, like it hits the mid wave around 5:30. So literally like both supports and sometimes even the offlaner. Secret has been doing this a lot. They move 4 heroes middle, like get bounties, and then like just with that first catapult wave, you have 4 heroes middle, just like putting as much pressure, trying to keep that catapult alive. Even if it knocks like half the tower's HP away, that's a win. And if people start TPing in to react, then they just TP back to their lanes. Because now these oaks that are middle have to run back to the side lanes.
Okay,
So
so by that stage, you're hoping you've cleared the catapult, and therefore
yeah,
you're under less threat.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
and then it gives your carry and your offlaner like this whole minute of free farm or a chance to kill the enemy's carry because he's been left alone in the lane.
I will add one more thing though that you have to do against OG right here is the warding. Like that's one of the strengths of Fury, the captain. His
Definitely.
warding game is pretty much on fleek. And every time I ever played with him and I've spoken to him about it, he's like, "Well, you just got to be the first. You got to be first, right?
You need to see.
Your ward must be there first. You must see them ward. Like that's how you win Dota. You put your ward there first, and you've got to really be competitive in that warding game against. And I'm sure you're very aware of the Santa. This like pray, like
Oh no,
this
dude!
is
I
your bread and
save
butter.
up items. I don't do that whole wording thing. I save my items.
So Santa's lying through his teeth here because he's the first person, like, and it actually happened this year when we played against Omnius, where Santa's like, guys, you need to help me. Fury is busy winning the warding game. He's busy winning the vision game because you can
I
feel it
am
on the
busy
map.
dying. Like
Like
they just
you
wait. They
can,
wait for me
yeah,
to kind of do my thing, and then it's harder to come back than being first, as Fury said. That's really
yeah,
important.
yeah. You literally have to drag like 2-3 heroes with you to try and like take back your jungle like and even that is a false play because why am I trying to take my jungle back? Why am I not just going to farm theirs? Like it's just a small rotation on the
But
map.
the
But
problem is you only know after it's too late, right? Someone
yeah,
at least dies one time for you to realize that.
I must say, I find just like Vision in Dota is absolutely fascinating. It's one of those things that I think newer players don't realize how like they actually. This is the best way to say it. It's so important that even new players who don't realize when they're getting advantage from Vision still enjoy the benefits of having that vision. It's like one of those things. It's that extreme. It's unlike when you itemization, for example. People don't know what to itemize, so they don't. They buy the wrong items when they start out. Don't get that kind of benefit. But with warding, even when it's by accident, you get such a huge advantage. So I think the vision game is the fascinating part about Dota 2.
I
yeah,
think it's improved a lot since Dota 1. Because like in Dota 1, if you brought a ward, oh man, you were like getting flamed from all points part of the world. Like from your team, from their team. oh, you're one of those people that buys wards. You like this, you like this. So I think it's actually better now. Like now people complain, so that's a good thing.
But also like for me, it's about what you can't see on the map than what you can see. So because if you've got vision up and you can't see them, then obviously they have to be somewhere else. So
Mm.
it's more about it's the entire intel that you're getting from your wards. Just be more afraid of the axe that you can't see than the axe that you can see.
I mean, we saw that's
Deductive
like a Seb,
skills.
the Seb story. I don't know if anyone's ever watched a an analysis on that famous axe game, the famous axe game.
Hmm.
And one of the most impressive things about it is like how frequently that man is not visible on the map. It's like just the threat of his existence was doing more damage than him actually doing anything. He was just they couldn't see him, didn't know where to farm, what to do, and then when they did take risks, he was there because he was seeing things on the map. So
Dandy did it first, right? With Pudge. Just like constantly just stays out of vision.
Yeah, that's
Always
true,
had a
I guess.
smoke on him. He did it first.
we
So,
need another Pudge meta. I'm ready. My body's ready.
Yes, you say that now, and then 2 weeks into it, you're like, okay, can this stop now?
I will never. There's things as well I never get over. One of them is Pudge hooks, and the other one is actually not. You'd probably expect me to say black holes because that's casters love black holes, but it's actually either the big RP or like an invoker catching somebody like a couple out with a tornado into a like those two combinations are just they're amazing.
Devin, did you guys cast any of the games when you could skewer someone into fountain with IO?
yes. I've seen it.
I didn't actually cast any games where that happened. Put it that way.
Yeah, that was a fun meta.
Yeah.
I must admit, I kind of miss the old punch hook and fountain, that kind of stuff. Like, those kind of cheesy things are actually quite hard to pull off normally, so it's okay. I don't know.
The
I'm
hectic
old
bugs,
school that way.
or like Pangalia Bat Rider, when you would lasso someone and Panga would just roll over him and one shot him, like insta kill him.
I don't recall that one. When was that? I mean, it must have been. I mean, Panga's not that old, so.
So when Panga just came out, like if you lassoed someone with Bat Rider, it keeps them in place.
Mm.
And if Panga ulti rolled over them, the damage counter would rev up because he's not being bashed. So the damage would proc constantly, and it would just like one shot though. Like
All these
insta kill him.
balance things. Like, that's one of the great things about it. Somebody's always going to find something that's totally broken. It's waiting there. I promise you, it's there right now. Just something that no one's thought. I mean, think about the Enchantress Clinks drama that we had to deal with for a while.
Well, we
was
lost
horrible.
to Rock Thy Leafy game when they picked that.
Yeah.
So
What's the worst version? As a competitive player, what's the one that's like been the worst to play against? When you see that combo come, like, oh no.
Is
Like,
it
what
Earthshaker Morphling?
that's the one I would go
That's
for.
pretty hectic. What I didn't like was the Shadow Demon Centaur, and they would just send illusions onto towers and take the tower.
Yeah.
So remember, this was probably DGC 2013 or 2014. Lich Doom in the off lane.
Okay. That was just a terrible lane to be in,
Strong,
right?
yeah, it's just a very strong lane.
That's
you just
like-
eat creeps. They have to get no.
It was just like
horrible thing.
a hero that's so strong, but his weakness is not having armor and giving a hero putting a hero that can buff his armor in the lane. That's
And like range keeps was like a bazillion XP at that
Oh,
point. And
yeah,
it
of
would
course.
Consume them, so he would just devour the range creep, and you'd be like 3 levels behind this Doom, and he just hits the living crap out of you. Like no, that was horrid. I didn't enjoy that patch at all. That or the Leshrac broken patch, where Leshrac would just get like rampage at like 8 minutes into the game because he's just
that
too
was
strong.
really strong as well.
What about you, Coffee? Do you have any old? You used to be a competitive player. What was disasters that you ran into?
He said the SD Centaur. Sansa said that one, and I think the one that surprised me as being super strong was the SD Morphling, because those Morphling illusions you just can't walk anywhere, and just SD as a counter pick in general as well makes your life quite hard.
All right. Well, we're about to go into the game, so we're moving over to our casters. It's gonna be great.
Time, boys.
great, fantastic casters waiting for you, by the way. But before we go, I just want to hear from you guys what your predictions are for both matches that are going on tonight. So let's start with the one that will be happening off stream, XD versus Inex. Where are you guys going?
I'll say XD there.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
give him
I
the edge.
think that's the
So I know they've had a bit of a roster shuffle, but I think XT takes that. Like B has got so much experience and he's a great Dota player.
All right.
I'll say Onyx, sure.
You just like to disagree.
Yeah, that's wearing a pink shirt. That's what I do. Against the
Okay.
trends.
And last thoughts. We're going into the game any second now. So what's going to be? Origin versus Carbon.
I want to say Origin's going to take it, but I hope Carbon does so we can maybe get
just because I want to play Origin.
So let's go Carbon there. Like Fury's going to flame me, but let's go Carbon.
Well, time to shine, Scorpio. You know, you can
Origin.
pick the favorites. Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll flip it again.
Okay.
Yes. I might get a point.
So what?
Okay, well, we're jumping into the draft. So thanks very much, guys. Really enjoyed having you on the panel, but now it's time to go over to our casters.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys.
Omnius Gaming Origin versus Carbon. Game 1.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So it is I, your caster. I believe joined by 2.0. 2.0 with us?
Yeah, I'm
good.
here. How you doing, Holbert?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's fantastic to have you here. Of course, we did hear from the panel who they thought would take this one with I guess 2 to Carbon, although it seemed to be a suggestion made mostly about Salt wanting to play against Origin in the lower bracket as soon as possible. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll have the luxury of holding out until we reach the drafting stage before we can make our predictions. But otherwise, I mean, are you looking forward to this one?
I really am, Holbert, and I feel like I share the sentiment in that there's, on paper, Omnius may be the favorites, especially with their experience in Masters, being qualifying at least from, the Premier Division. That being said, you look at the skill level of both sides and the players involved, and it doesn't seem like there's too much of a differential, to be honest. I think that we're in for a tight game, irrespective of what people might think. That being said, I think that experience trumps all, and my favorites would probably be Omnius going into this if I was going to be fair and open and honest about it.
Oh, fair enough. Let's see how the drop plays out, though. So we do have the Sven and the Tiny banned out immediately. Interestingly, Sven, one of the heroes, I believe the panel was saying that... if I can lie, that was for XT. I'm a total liar. But Sven and Tiny banned out. Tiny, no surprise there. And then the Rubik and Drow Ranger banned out in response by Carbon with the first pick to follow. Anything you particularly want to see?
Yeah, look, Holbert, all of those heroes currently meta, except, potentially not the Rubik. Rubik still being an all-round good pick, especially if you're picking up these big, long cooldown ulti heroes. Not only that, he's pretty good at lane. He harasses pretty well. It's just an annoyance to deal with. I think the most important things to take out of these bans are the Svens, and the Sven, the Tiny, and the Jar. I'm not sure if you've been watching any Pro Dota at the moment, but Sven really running away with it as the preference pos 1 carry, that and Faceless Void. And then Tiny just being so versatile, it's unbelievably difficult to draft against and play against. He's currently able to play in the pos 2, 3, or 4 role. So some pretty astute bans if you had to ask me. And the Vengeful Spirit coming out straight out from Carbon. We've been seeing that opening combo of a Draw Venge, so I'll be interested to see what they pair it up with here. Venge not traditionally being a strong laner, but perfectly capable of contributing throughout the game with that BKB piercing swap and the armor reduction for any of your physical damage needs from your cores.
It does seem like a really early pickup of Venji, right? I mean, she's generally, as you mentioned, played with aura-related heroes, or if it's a direct counter to something like a Batrider, etc. And Batrider admittedly is quite popular at the moment, is in the pool as well. So I guess there's that kind of rationale. Maybe it's dissuade certain heroes from being picked up by Omnius, or maybe they just really do feel like this is a hero that they can play around very well. But I guess time will tell if they do go for something a little bit interesting to merge with that. I'm trying to think what kind of, traditional heroes that might pick up in this, possibly something like the Beastmaster. I don't know. I mean, he's kind of popular as well at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty pretty good guess, actually. It is very strong with the Beastmaster. I think most importantly, the common ones that come to mind being your Dry Ranger, your Sven, and your Morphling. We might be seeing a Morphling pick up here. That being said, a Clockwork just picked up a Natural Spirit Vessel Carrier. Maybe not the most comfortable thing to play a Morph into. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see, that hero that they want to be pairing it up with picked up right now. Okay, and there's a Bloodseeker. All right, so if this is Carbon's off lane, I believe that this is going to be incredibly strong. You look at how a Bloodseeker functions in the off lane as a position 3, and all it requires is a stun from the position 4 to land that blood rights, and that's what makes it such a strong position 3 hero. So we already see a very strong combination coming in here from Carbon. Be interested to see what Omnius do now to respond. Do they pick up their offlane themselves, or do they respond with a hero that can potentially deal with that in the safe lane, whether it's their position 5 or position 1? I find typically heroes that seem to deal all right with it, high movement speed heroes, ranged heroes. It's a movement speed predicated lane in my opinion. So let's see what they pick up here.
Right. Yeah. I gotta say as well, Bloodseeker, I think is one of like, and he's in a good space at the moment. I mean, obviously with the changes that they made not too long ago to his spell amp, etc., and then the changes to Veil, obviously making him very very feasible at the moment. But it looks like they're gonna go a little bit old school. Doom, definitely isn't as loved as he was a little while ago. I think they reduced his scorched earth, if I'm not mistaken, and his HP regen. So not quite the hero he once was. But we actually saw this in the group stages when the patch was just released, but Doom was nerfed, that he was still incredibly dominant. So if
Oh
you're
yes.
comfortable with him, why not?
Look, Devin, Halbert, I think that it's more a case of Doom now being a threat from any lane. We see it a lot in SEA at the moment with the Doom being run mid. And if you had a look at it, Doom perfectly capable of dealing with the Bloodseeker lane. You're able to harass with that Infernal Blade, the move speed of Scorched Earth. If they do decide to switch up their lanes, that is something that can deal with the Bloodseeker lane, I feel. And moreover, it limits the mid heroes that Carbon would potentially be able to pick up. Just interesting to note here, Omnius have now banned out the Treant Protector. I'm not 100% sure what that is about. Maybe it is something that Alvin has been playing quite a lot. And then we see the Spectre and Faceless Void bans from Carbon. Faceless Void being particularly good versus the Bloodseeker in lane, so I completely understand that. Spectre being quite a good meta hero, very tanky, very difficult to deal with, and pretty much able to contribute a lot earlier than the previous versions of Spectre we've seen. I don't know how far back you remember, Halbert, but there was a time when your Midas Radiance, etc., and so forth, in a Spectre was meta. Now it's more, your early tempo items. You want to be picking up your Mantas, your Diff Blades, just getting that damage out early and team fighting as soon as your ultimate is up. So interesting bans there. And there's the Oracle ban from the side of Carbon. I think that's a really good ban here. Very, very strong versus the Bloodseeker as well as the Vengeful Spirits. And with that Oracle, I think that Omnius would have so much sustain. I mean, you've got a Doom Oracle coupled with a very tanky position 4. So yeah, a nice bans from Carbon there. There's the Medusa ban from Omnius. We spoke about that Medusa Vengeful Spirit combination, and they're banning out the Arc Warden. Also very, very useful with the Vengeful Spirit, being able to get him out of these sticky positions and amplifying that right-click damage coming from him and his Tempest double.
I just want to point out as well. I totally agree with you on the Oracle ban. I think it's a really solid one, since it's actually particularly good with Clockwork as well, because you can actually channel up that stun. Clockwork just launches in during the cast, like that's animation as it reaches the Clockwork, and you just double up on what Clockwork's able to contribute in that initial engagement. So I quite agree that's a nice ban there. And as you mentioned, there is already a significant amount of like tankiness and regen that's coming from both having 2 strength heroes. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see. Oh, actually, no, I lie. I was going to say maybe consider something like the Undying up against 2 strength heroes early on, or a Timbersaw. Both those heroes, I would say, mostly cancelled out here by the nature of Doom very good against Timbersaw, obviously, and also the Bloodseeker probably occupying that position that Undying may want to take at this point.
Sure. Look, I don't think the Undying is too much of a terrible answer. Just backtracking a little bit, Halbert, with the Oracle also being able to purge off the Bloodseeker Silence, Venge Stun, Venge Wave of Terror, like it's just a really good pick. But Hype, Halberd. We have got a Fury Crystal Maiden. I don't believe I've seen this in a while. And I'll tell you something for free. This is one of Fury's signature heroes. I mean, I come from a time when he just started at XD, and it used to get pretty, or I still get excited to see it. So there we have it. And it looks like we've got a Dark Willow Elven, or Elven Dark Willow, also a signature hero for the man. What's really nice here is they've got set up with a Venge Stun, those brambles into Blood Rites. Look, that's going to be the offlane there. The Willow into Bloodseeker, a little bit more tricky to pull off, but I think that they should be able to manage it. And Omnius respond immediately with the Tatsu Juggernaut. This is exactly the lane that you want. Juggernaut able to get out of any lockdown that Carbon have to offer, which means that Blood Rite is very, very rarely going to hit. What's more important to note is the CM has a double nuke in terms of her Q and W. Both of those able to do a lot of damage to what are, for all intents and purposes, quite squishy heroes in the offlane. I think that this is definitely an Omnia's favored lane off the bat. Got a Wraith King pickup from the side of Carbon here. Guys, this game is getting really intense. One would think that your Wraith King position 1 would get destroyed by Doom. The problem with the Doom is that he only has 2 armor early on, a simple Blightstone, or in this scenario, we've got a Vengeful Spirit able to reduce that armor, means that the Doom all of a sudden becomes very squishy. And what happens is, with the Wraith King able to summon these skeletons and a lockdown from the Vengeful Spirit, means that he's very, very susceptible to just disappearing in lane. And that's not because he's hiding, it's because he'll be dead. So, yeah, very, very nice pickup from the side of Carbon there.
I also like it because obviously it limits the amount of pressure Doom can place onto a Wraith King. You don't really want to Doom a Wraith King because he's actually capable of doing a lot of what he wants to do anyways when he is doomed, and
Sure.
he can just come straight back to life anyway. So it's not the ideal unit to go for, and they aren't great targets to Doom right now. I feel like you probably want to go for the Bloodseeker or something. So it's a nice Wraith King picker as well, and it's also handy against the likes of a Juggernaut because once again a Jug is, unless he has Ags, unless he's really well farmed, he, especially in the mid to early stages of the game, he wants to just delete somebody with his ulti, and Wraith King is not a potential option there either. So yeah, I think it's a pretty solid pick. I like Wraith King in these kind of protect your one position, get him to be quite a chunky lad, and then have him contribute later on. So not too bad. Interesting, the Pugna ban coming out from Carbon though. I actually think they could have picked that up and put that in as their mid. Pretty handy against the Juggernaut. A lot of high mana cost spells, so I guess they just don't want to pick it and don't want to play against it.
Generally, when you see the Pugna ban, it's because it's a preemptive ban for a hero that you would like to pick. So we might be seeing the likes of an Odie here versus your Dooms, Clockworks. Alternatively, they might be looking at the Invokers, seeing the Clockwork pickup, and it's this almost static reposition. I say static, but not very far moving repositioning hero where you're able to Sunstrike, able to land your spells. I mean, these are just ideas I'm throwing out here, but it's something that we might see here very well, a hero from Carbon that doesn't deal well with Pugna. That being said, looking at Omnius and the way that they've been playing this year, we still have the 626 hero. Yes, it could be the Doom and they could switch it up, but I feel like we might be seeing a cheese strategy coming in with the likes of a Meepo, a Brood Mother, an Arc Warden, something like that. The question is, have Carbon crossed their T's and dotted their R's and prevented Omnius being able to pick up these cheese comfort heroes for 66? I don't know. How do you feel? Do you think we're going to be seeing something like that?
Well, I'm actually generally a big fan of the comfort pick over the cheese pick. It's something that I think that you just, especially in game one, right? So I think if we do see some comfort picks coming out from both sides, wrap things up would make sense. But it does look like we have one of our answers going to be the Leshrac coming out for Carbon.
That explains the Pugna ban.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, you were spot on the money there. That's not a hero you want on the board when you're playing Leshrac, but obviously that does give Doom his perfect target. I mean, Leshrac contributes very little once he's doomed out, so that'll be the one he's going to be looking for. But I guess you can't play around it. You could look at getting items that can protect your Leshrac from getting doomed, or just have him join the fights a little bit later on. There are options around that. You can't really just be like, okay, well, how do we pick units that Doom never wants to do? It's not going to work out.
But they have the ability to stop the follow-up damage here, Halberd, and there are items that could potentially help the Leshrac. The classic Lincoln's Aeon Discs come to mind. So we'll see how he builds his hero. Oh, spicy. And we see a Lina pick up from the side of Omnius. Okay. I like this matchup for the Lina in the mid lane. It is slightly favored. That being said, it does not mean that Phoenix will not stand a chance in that mid lane. They're both skilled players, and I'm sure they'll both get a lot out of it. But nice pick up there. There's also that that burst that is now allowed, which couples very nicely with the Doom getting a large portion of damage off. Yeah, nice pickup. Let's see how it plays out. I'm quite excited for this game. Albert, I don't know about you.
100%. I must say as well, I do think that this is not one of those games where I look at the draft and I go, okay, one team has outright won. I would slightly favor on this gaming's draft, if I'm perfectly honest. But I think there's enough for Carbon to work with here. They do have catch, they do have save, they have a little bit of team fight. If they can keep their Leshrac out of Doom, he also is going to be able to contribute a huge amount. I definitely feel like we have a game on, and this is going to be decided by the better team, not necessarily by the better draft.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. I've been speaking throughout the tournament so far just about how good Dota has been in South Africa, how close a lot of these teams are, and I think that both these sides have a huge amount to prove. Both of them will feel like they've done incredibly well to reach these upper bracket stages with a lot of contention from sides that are still really good in the lower brackets. But here they are, and now it's the time to potentially secure a top 6 spot in the Telkom VS Gaming Master Championships. It's a huge one.
Absolutely. And that's that's essentially what adds to all this tension, this excitement that I'm experiencing. I mean, we're here, right? It's the culmination of a year's hard work from all of these teams, and they're definitely going to be giving it everything that they possibly have.
And we do have our expected South African Dota 2 pause, so it gives an opportunity just to chat a little bit about these lanes, I think. So are there any lanes in particular that you think are going to be particularly powerful for either side?
Yeah, well, I think that both team safe lanes should be outright winners for their respective lanes. It'll be interesting, in particular, to watch the Juggernaut CM lane versus the Bloodseeker Dark Willow. The only reason is I would like to see how the Bloodseeker Willow deal with the Juggernaut's Blade Fury. It is very difficult. We might see some, spell cancellations or animation cancels just to bait things out. So yeah, we might see some high skill plays coming from that lane, and then I think that Carbon's safe lane is pretty secure as well. A huge amount of damage coming out there, and both the Clockwork and the Doom are going to have to be very, very careful.
Well, I'm interested in what's happening in mid. It's a bit of a everyone's just getting along, giving each other high fives, etc. And I'll tell you what, they're definitely up to no good, because there's no reason that these guys will all be together for no reason. They do, in fact, have a smoke also lined up in this Crystal lane, so Fury may lead the charge, and there it goes. Where is it going, though? Top lane, they did actually scout out 2, so they know that both the Vengeful Spirit and Wraith King are in that top area. It looks like they're more interested in heading towards the bottom side of the map right now, and they're heading directly towards most of the lineup at the moment of Carbon, and they're getting a pretty decent wrap around. They have some really good level 1 spells. So let's see how this one works out. They're going to find out a big target to it. It's the Leshrac. They slow him down, but he's not exactly where they need him, and that's a really nice blood ride as well, which is going to make sure that there's very little more they can do here. It does secure them 2 runes, most likely, but not finding the damage they were definitely hoping for early on.
I believe they're going to get 3 runes here. Very good.
Yeah, they'll do. They'll definitely do. So picking up top rune as well. So Smoke pays itself off in the end. And I thought there's really, I feel like the mids feel at most, right? Like when you get 3 runes at the 0 mid mark, playing mid, it feels tasty.
Okay. And we see Alvin place a ward in the Radiant safe lane here. He's going to be looking to snipe careers, although I already seem to have an idea of what's going on here. And Unique has not moved to the top lane yet. That's a battery salt onto Alvin. Oh, he's in a bit of trouble here. He does not have he does not have Shadow Roll.
He has Bramble. Does manage to get it off though, so it does buy him a little bit of time. But I think in the end, just get a career first trouble. You know, that's probably all he wanted. That's probably why he planted that incredibly deep rune. So he pays for it with his life. Oh wow, yeah, Spooked is taking a lot of damage at the moment, and they are likely able to track him down here. Magic Missile is in fact off cooldown. That should be a return kill. So, hey, we'll start the game off with 2 kills in under a minute, or just at a minute.
Righty, so definitely the I feel like I need to give myself a pat on the back here. The safe lanes being the hyper action here. Very, very interesting. Alright, and we've got another pause here.
Profit or time travel? Which one is it?
Hey, what? A
Are you-
profit or time travel?
Yeah, which
Um,
one is it?
As much as I'd love to say time travel, I haven't quite finished my portal yet. It's under construction, so I'm definitely going to go with profit for now.
Alright, I mean,
I
it would
will,
take.
I will let you know when the portal's done. Though you're welcome to join me in my time traveling adventures.
That sounds pretty good. Um, yeah, so let's. I mean, unfortunately, these pauses I feel like are like part and parcel with how South African Dota goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, you say that, but my camera's lagging right now, so it's definitely a South African thing, guys.
Yeah, you know, it's just it's just how it goes. But we do have our player reconnected already, so we should jump into this any second now. Any items that you find interesting, by the way? Any? I mean, we saw the unfortunate loss of 2 clarities very early on, but anything that you look at and go, hey, that's an interesting take on the starting build?
Nothing that I've seen up until this point, Halbert. It seems to be all pretty standard. I think the most interesting thing is that we're only seeing unique move into that top lane now. Once Boot is respawned. Yeah, I think that's with regards to spooked items, he'll be picking up what I hope is phase boots or some form of armor as early as possible, or we should expect to see that. Otherwise, pretty much standard stuff here. If you
Bottom
just
lane.
excuse me for a second, I'm just reconnecting my camera.
Do your thing, man. So, bottom lane, do you see that there's a little bit of pressure being applied here by... I need Scoppy. He always said it best. Dax. Top lane, however, it's unique. That's in a little bit of trouble here as he does catch a magic missile, but he should be just fine. And that's a very adventurous career, actually, getting into the action here. Maybe that's exactly what Unique wants. And fortunately for him, that career is going to be safe and sound underneath the tier 1 tower. There's mid at the moment. Taking a peek there, it does look like it's going the way of 66 for the time being. He does still have the healing self as well, so a little bit of a economic advantage as much as just having the much better affair when it comes to the last hits right now, sitting at 10 for 5.
Yeah, he's really showing his worth here. I think it is kind of to be expected, Halbert. Slightly better attack animation and attack damage for the Lina in this lane. That being said, not detracting from the fact that he's doing very well here.
Yeah, still early days, but I'm you know, I was so into this like brawl that I thought we were gonna get, but sides at the moment are just being a little bit more careful with it. But bottom, I think Fury just saw a bunch of neutrals there. By the way, I think the Blood Right went down and ended up leaving everything on literally 1 Frost Nova away from being killed. So Fury picks up a couple, and it looks like he's interested on the kill on Elvin as well. Tatsu will commit the Blade Storm as well, but the immediate TP is there, could be interrupted by the Crystal Maiden, and should be enough to get the kill. Anders Crit's going to do the job, but they might get the cross on Fury. Fury does not have anything at his disposal, and he's just being run down, and of course that Bloodseeker makes short work of him, but does want to stand toe-to-toe against that Juggernaut right now. He does have 1 level and Blade Dance, so definitely can do a lot of work here. Turns back towards the creep wave, and he'll be satisfied just sharing the damage for a little bit. And of course they do. I think they come on top there. I mean, they get the cross kill, but both cores got those kills, except there was a little bit of extra experience going away with the CM.
Yeah. I think it's okay. I think that we kind of there we go. Tatsu does have his boots. But we need to see this move speed ramped up by Tatsu as soon as possible in this lane if he's going to start running away with it. But he'll be very happy with that Dark Willow kill, and as I'm sure Fury will be too. Oh.
Unique also making some movements. He's got his Tranks as mentioned, so let's see what he does with them. Obviously he's only level 1, so can't provide a huge amount of pressure yet, but that does give, of course, an opportunity for Spook to get some extra levels and just have a bit of a better time about things. Beats something that Courier wasn't seeing there the whole time. So I just watched the Courier flying back, and I think I just waited there, scared of this clockwork for all that time.
I think that it did as well. It's interesting, through that first blood, Unique actually has Tranquils here, and that's probably why he's giving so much space to Spook to pick up levels as quickly as he can. He's already level 4 here, and he's got a level 2 Scorched Earth. They're going to come in and farm this, but I think that they're actually going to start setting up for a kill here as soon as Unique is level 2, and he does now. With those power cogs, I believe that they'll be looking for a kill in that Wraith King.
I definitely have the kill potential to bring down the bench throw as well. She's obviously just sitting at 600 HP, giving a lot of that to the Wraith King. So he does have a bracer, a little bit harder to make that kill, but they'll take pretty much anything. The first runes are up though, and it looks like it's going to go 2 apiece. Eventually, as 66 picks up his own bounty rune.
Money to burn.
But things are a little bit quiet. The game's fairly even, I'd say. I mean, 1k advantage to OG at the moment. I'll definitely take it, but you know that's pretty much whatever at this point, because the mid's probably the biggest problem at the moment with your Leshrac. I'd say struggling a bit. He's sitting at 18 at the moment, but that is also due to neutral creeps. Next to Lina, just looking healthier, higher level, got the bulk that denies, much more CS. That's probably the biggest problem I think right now for Carbon.
We did speak about it in the beginning of the draft, Halbert. Like it is a Lina favored matchup, so we should expect 66 to be winning that lane. Maybe not as much as he is, by as much as he is, but yeah, to be expected. Zubs on the Wraith King actually a little bit low here. He's not getting the best out of these trades with Spooked. Let's see how that pays off. He's starting to run out of regen as well at about a 3rd HP. It's also a mindset thing, Halbert. You know, you walk into tournament formats and it's you don't initially want to be running in there gung ho with all the confidence. Mid lane unique on Phoenix.
Has been caught out here, and he's trying to turn this one around. They actually get more out of this because this Dragon Slave did go wide, and they aren't quite able to finish the job on Unique. Stun on the high ground misses. They do see him, and they do manage to finish him off with just a small little trigger of the LT, and they'll be pretty happy because that could have been very, very different. I think if that Dragon Slave connects, they actually probably just turn and kill him there because they do have the Laguna, but it looks like the fight's not over just yet, and the Laguna will come out. This time it's Sompo Elvin, who definitely picked up more than he could chew there, and the tip does come out, and to a degree, rightly so.
There we go. The mind games have begun. Alright. Alright, top lane. Spooked in a bit of trouble. Yeah, he's been hit by that wave of terror. As we spoke about the armor issue in this lane. Oh boy, Doom out into the Venge. I think that's just going to be to save Spooked. Hold on. Fury's coming in this top lane. They've slowed down Zubs.
We do have the opportunity to... I mean, that Doom is just so fast. One of the issues, of course, with Doom being his absolute blistering speed at the moment, but not able to find a kill. They did actually, I'd say that Doom may be questionable. I think he was trying to buy time for his teammates to come in, but he could never really challenge the kill onto the Vengeful Spirit with the Wraith King around, and it's a hefty cooldown.
Yeah, I think it was literally just to prevent the stun from dying, but they should be able to get a kill here. Acid Man definitely playing the sacrificial lamb here.
I don't think you mind that at all, though. I mean, that's a fairly hefty rotation. You know that although Doom wasn't using that kill, it was a ready commit, and Wraith King still has not been forced to pick up his level 6 ulti. Obviously, one of the big things, old school things with Wraith King is you really just want to try hold on to that point, see if you can make it to a point where you can level up your 12 instead. Obviously, the cooldown, that's significantly better. 200 to 120. But it looks like they might force the issue again. They go back in top, and let's see if he does good. He does immediately skill. The sword does come back in. He doesn't even need it. Doesn't need it. Actually gets the magic wand off instead, and they're going to turn this one around and pick up the kill. So, although they could have said forced out the selection of the LT, they didn't get enough out of it, and it looks like it's not over just yet. They do bring in the Bloodseeker. They should get off the Rupture as well, and it's going to be onto Fury. Nice work from Unique, buying a little bit of space, a little bit of time as they just move straight into that. In fact, they might just cross-kill this onto the Bloodseeker. He does back off, buys himself a little bit of time. Foxy Tech, or Fury Foxy Tech does go down, and looks like they still want to charge in on this one. They still do have that ulti available in the Wraith King, so they can potentially challenge if they want to.
That was some very nice play there by Carbon. I particularly enjoyed Dax's movements in and out, making sure he doesn't take all that tower damage, de-aggroing, and essentially being available for that kill. Yeah, very nicely done. And it's about, you know, those prompt rotations, turning something that looked, you know, I mean, we saw Zubs almost die, and they are able to turn around to their advantage. So some really nice early rotations in place here. That being said, the mid tower from the side of Carbon is now gone. 66 done an incredible job there. Unique's just going to sit and sack XP in that mid lane, and 66 now allowed to roam around the map and do whatever he pleases. His ulti is available for this engagement top. They are busy pushing top tower.
And a lot of damage once more. This Wraith King's been living on a knife edge. He does have 9 charges on his magic wand though, so he can turn this fight around potentially. But once again, aggression towards the top tower, insane, and they're going to find an easy pick off here, surely, onto this Vengeful Spirit, and he does manage to go for Magic Missile, but that's going to be the end of it. They do bring in the Bloodseeker again, though. They want to try and make something of this. The Doom comes, the Rupture comes out onto the Doom, but the Doom goes onto the Leshrac, so he could contribute very, very little at the moment. Out comes the Wraith King ulti. They're still trying to battle onto this dude. Eventually, they do bring him down, and the ulti comes out from Lina, but it's not enough to bring down Bloodseeker. So now Fury may have overstayed his welcome. He's going to get caught out, just pincered in here with the tree line. And in the end, it looks like this time around it's Carbon that come out ahead. Bear in mind though, Tatsu, bottom lane, just having the farm of his life. He is so far away from the action, and he's making it worth his while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Battle Fury is not too far away. We can probably expect to see a 14-minute Battle Fury here, I would imagine. He is absolutely flying with regards to net worth, just slightly ahead of 66. And got to say that the only core that's even close would be Zubs on that Wraith King. A little worrying for the side of Carbon, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's under siege again. This time, no ulti available to him. Top lane, a lot of trouble here. Do they even look at bringing somebody in? They can just end this Wraith King at the moment. They're trying to just track him down. They will have some more stable coming out from the CM, and that'll be enough, surely, with the clockwork even coming in for good measure. No way out of this one, and no rotations available to them. Bottom lane, though, they are pinging out this Juggernaut. As you mentioned, he is farming really well, and that Battle Fury that it looks like he is indeed going for is likely to come out very, very soon. They're going to stun him up though, try to buy this time on the tower. Do they get to deny? No, they don't. Tatsu will find the kill onto that bottom tower, but they do have Elven in this round. This is such a hard kill though for a Dark Lord. Although he can't get LT, he's fairly immune to a lot of what Tatsu can do to him. Right now, he's totally alone here. Does toss out the Terrorize, but it's not enough. He just gets Blade Stormed down, and it looks like it won't quite be enough as he dances around his own bramble, pops his ulti as well. Actually doing some great work. Tatsu in trouble now, gets stunned up by the Vengeful Spirit, but no follow-up. They do have the Bloodseeker making his way towards bottom, but he's just there way too late. I'm actually surprised that they didn't rotate to win faster, and that was some fantastic work from the Dark Willow though.
Yeah, it was. We spoke about it in the draft again, Holbert. It's that Blade Fury being so valued this game and so difficult for Carbon to deal with. I mean, how do they kill this Juggernaut right now? Tatsu's just going to TP out. He realizes that there's more than just one.
Of course, no way through that at the moment. So looking pretty good. I'd say that lead is truly significant. I mean, your Juggernaut at the moment, top of the net worth by a considerable margin. I mean, you mentioned moments ago how the Wraith King was the only one in with a little bit of an, I'd say, competitive economy, but even that has fallen by the wayside. He has both the Lina and the Juggernaut more than 1,000 net worth ahead of them. So, especially with a side where you have a Doom against you, like, that's pretty concerning because they can get big items up fairly quickly. And now you have to deal with even more heroes that are finding farm around the map. But it's going to be Fury who's caught out here. Absolutely no way out of this one. Easy kill for them, but I don't think they care at all. That's so much information they gained from that CM death.
Yeah, look, Albert, it's really concerning. 6k net worth lead at the start of at 13 minutes is a fair amount, and moreover, you know, it's majority on that Juggernaut and Lina, and we've said how the Doom is able to get up those items quickly. He has the Devour. This is going to be a lot for Carbon to deal with, and not only that, their draft is pretty high tempo. I mean, they want to be the ones in the lead right now, applying the pressure, but I don't know if it's enough pressure that they've applied this far.
I mean, definitely not. They're in a lot of trouble right now. 6k, it just, and it doesn't feel like, oh, hold on, top lane. They are going to try and track down Tatsu here, and they throw through the Terrorize. It does connect, but unfortunately the Blade somehow was just on its last legs. They do find him. They do have support from Fury though. He drops the ulti. That's going to zone as well. So they push back up, but Tatsu does get off a huge ultimate. The Omni doing so much work. They do have the ult available on the Wraith King, so they're going to ignore him and go back towards Elven, but he's doing some good work with heading back towards the other side of the map, but Unique finds him regardless, pops the barrage, and is going to find one, and it looks like Fury still wants to annoy this Wraith King, pushing him back. He does have Tranquil, so he can potentially catch him, but not getting the assistance he really wants from his Doom and Tatsu's Juggernaut just yet. I don't know, my friend, this looks dire. What do they do here? How do they change this game? I mean, right now it just looks like they're like terribly under threat.
Well, what they need to do, Holbert, is they need to make space for Zubs. He has been literally sitting with 3 or 4 of Omnius's members in close range at all times. He's been unable to push any towers, as we can see. Omnius's top tower still pushed. I would personally force a Juggernaut rotation. You either move 5 of your teammates in for a team fight, make sure that you are you know, taking it on your terms, win it, force the Juggernaut to start participating. Alternatively, you just got to make space, make yourselves visible around the map, and allow for Zubs to start pushing out lanes, ramp up his farm, get some real estate for your team. If that doesn't happen, I don't see how they get around this. Their whole draft is predicated around the ability to push with that Wraith King and Lesh, and if they're unable to do it, I don't see how they win this, Albert.
Yeah, forget pushes when they're actually being choked out of their own jungle. I mean, they got something going on the bot lane, so they do have their Bloodseeker trying to apply some pressure on the map. And I like this. I like the fact that he's trying to get some inward momentum towards his opponent's side of the base. But just look at the positioning from Tatsu and friends. They're literally controlling this jungle. No one can really get in here, but in fact, it's going to be the Dark Hole. Elvin goes in. He's going to take a full CM ulti to the head, though, and looks like he'll get away with it too. Does pick the right line, does get support as well from Bloodseeker, but Clockwork will find a way through some of the immediate TP out from Tatsu. He's going to be just fine, and they get absolutely nothing for it in the end. Or do they? Phoenix still wants a piece of this. He does not have a Yules or anything set up a pick just yet, but maybe there's something here. It doesn't look like it.
No. Alright, that Battle Fury is up in Tatsu now. He's going to be pushing for this Manta. Not too long, it's going to be good timing. I mean, what do we see that Battle Fury at, Holbert? Was that 14 minutes, I think? Yeah.
I mean, he was farming inside the jungle earlier with it, so I'd say at least 40 minutes. So he's having the time of his life. But also, if you have the Lina, I mean, Lina as well, even a high net worth, and looks like he might pick up a kill mid lane as well. Does actually whiff the Light Strike array, so doesn't find the kill they're looking for. And Acid Man finds this a little bit interesting. Realizes that there's an opportunity for a swap here, but there's a bunch of them here. Yeah, it's probably what. That's the problem. And speaking of which, you might have to do a swap to save his Wraith King. But the support isn't quite there. I actually appreciate the fact that both of these sides aren't overcommitting to fights. I mean, you saw they did in fact have the engagement potentially onto Zubs there. But just respecting the fact it's a Wraith King, they can't kill it immediately. You'll buy time for the rotation. Why throw your lead? 7k at 17 minutes. They have one less kill. Doesn't matter at all.
Yep. Doesn't matter even in the slightest. And Spoot has realized. We just saw him gung-ho, walk up that high ground, not give a crap, and that's a kill for 66 onto Phoenix. That's a huge kill. Oh boy.
We're going to get another one to Bloodseeker here as well. Dax caught out, and well, he is pretty pacey. Not able to get through once. Elvin doing beautiful work with that Dark Willow though, as he does find one. Tatsu also getting it feared. He's going to turn him straight back at him. Can they control him in time? They do also pass the share around, but in comes Spoot, help out with the Doom. And the Clockwork. Unique catches out Zubs. This might be a sacrifice because he's got very limited options where he can move. Caught out by the Bramble Maze as well. He will be sacrificed, but probably worthwhile because it did mean that his allies were able to make a very hasty retreat without too much threat. And once again, as long as Tatsu's alive, as long as he's farming, as long as that lead net worth is expanding, they don't have a warrior in the world.
Unique, the hero that Omnius didn't know they needed. What a champion.
Did they need him? Did they need him die there? Am I just being too kind?
Oh boy.
We'll go with it. He was securing the no kills. It's like the opposite of a kill steal. You know, he's that guy for your team.
He is. A good Samaritan. Alrighty. Yeah, look, Albert, it's such a tricky one, and I don't think that Carbon are executing what they need to here. They seem to be happy to just farm up in these lull periods. We did see Phoenix trying to push in that bot lane, but he did get picked off with no teammates around. Oh boy, Omnius Gaming going in for the Roche here, and I don't think that, I mean, does Alvin have Terrorize? He doesn't have it available. I don't know how Carbon stop this, and it's almost done already. It's going to be an Aegis in the Juggernauts.
It was well scouted out by Acid Man, but unfortunately, they actually just didn't have the position. I mean, Wraith King all the way top lane at the moment. He couldn't get to the fight he needed to, but it looks like they do find an important pick towards the lane. The swap comes in from Acid Man, helping out, but the Doom is there as well, so they catch him out, and they're going to find 2 instead of 1. Origin, they're having the time of their lives, and Carbon just don't seem to have any answers. And this is actually way worse than I think it looks. And perhaps you can explain to the newer folk how bad this game is going, even though the score lines don't look that drastic.
Okay, so the reason that the scorelines look the way they do is that there have been these early exchanges, but on the most important here is the side of OG, that being the Lina and the Juggernaut, they have been allowed to farm and gain these items that are critical to, you know, them winning. And if you guys were listening in on the draft, we know that the MVP pick here for the side of Omnius is the Juggernaut, followed by the Lina. They are able to do so much with Carbon being unable to respond to that. And we've already seen the the kills ratio here changing in the favor of OG, and what we can also see here is map control. So for the side of Omnius, they have all of their towers up, bar that bottom tier 1 and up top tier 1, and that's effectively map control. So if you had to relate that to map control, I would say that Omnius are in the lead with the amount of gold and options available to them with items. They are in control with regards to map control, and they are able to kill with Aplom here. I mean, if Carbon was silly enough to take on a 5v5 fight, I think Omnius would team up at this point, and we do see the Vengeful Spirit going down.
I mean, this is the Benji. I mean, they got Zub doing what I think he needs to do, farming on the other side of the map. He does spot out the fact that the bounty has not yet been collected, so he gets a little bit extra for it. But towards the side of the map, it's just once more tier 2 going to drop here. It'll be the first tier 2 of the game, of course, but opening up even more positional opportunity for Omnius. Like, what I think you want to do here is you just want to try cut waves and farm in other places, but considering you're playing up against a tier 1 tower mid, it just becomes so much harder. You need to find a way to get the mid, but the fight does break out towards the tier 2 bottom. Unique does get caught up by the Bramble Maze, and it looks like they will try to flank him. He's totally alone, and they're going to respect that. I guess once more, just losing the clockwork here, not a huge deal. It is just a support. Don't throw your lives away for a fight that is not ideal. Lina already in the top lane farming out, and man, look at that Lina! Is that a full MKB? Oh no, it's a full MKB. He's going to melt people.
Can I tell you something, Holbert? It's not just a full MKB. That's Booted Travels yours full MKB at 21 minutes. That is a rather large Lina, I would go so far as to say. That being said, it was a very nice passage of 2 minutes play for the side of Carbon. They were doing what we spoke about. They needed to do, pushing towers, Subs getting that top tier 1, pushing the bottom tier, top tier 2, and rotating in and getting albeit, I mean, not a very important kill, but they were able to pick up the clockwork. So that's the sort of stuff they need to do. And it's like you said, they've got to cut waves. They've got to essentially play around OG, and they have to try and get some real estate. And they're going for that mid 1 tower now. Zub's got his skeletons up. He's going to see what he can do here. That being said, 66 happily pushing tier 2 top.
Oh, they're getting flanked as well. Tatsu comes in from behind. I say flanked. It feels like getting flanked. It's actually Tatsu just alone. Acid Man doesn't want to take a piece of it. It looks like they will get this 2 now. That's so important. But the clockwork has wound up, and they've got a big one as well. They doom out the Lesh. He does get swapped out by Acid Man, so should buy him enough time to survive. But even from the backside, okay, that's very aggressive, Darkwater. You need to get out of there. You've lost this fight, and he does try to TP out, but immediately tosses there, and out comes the MKB. Goodbye. Destroyed and dismantled right now. It's all OG. It's all Omnis, and it's to be Origin, and they are. It is Omnis. Yeah, I'll go with that as well. There's little that they got going for them right now.
It was quite a funny moment where you were like, and they're getting flanked, and Tatsu realized that he was out of position. He was like, "Oh, this is not where I parked my car." Runs away.
And they win the fight anyways, and that's the problem, right? Is that you're so far behind. So 13k at 23 minutes is.
That's massive. It's yeah, that's a sizable amount. I think Omnius are very comfortable here. They're not too concerned about making any crazy plays. They are, what would be the right word? So it's failing me now, but they're just casually taking towers, moving on with their lives. It feels like in their Discord or TeamSpeak channel that they're going to be very relaxed right now, with simple calls being made out and no stressful anything really.
I think I just heard the Aegis time, so there's something.
Yeah.
Who had it was the Juggernaut.
Yeah,
So at the very least, they don't have to play into an Aegis anymore. But once again, just the map is broken right now. So they do get their tier 1 up, but they've lost all of their outer towers. So they have nowhere to comfortably TP2 to support. They've lost complete control of their jungle. It feels like this is just OG savoring their meal. They're taking the time. Enjoying what's left of this Dota game, because the entire. This is just ominous country right now.
I think it's Hobbit, I think it's also just a case of, you know, they're not forced to do anything drastic here. They are in complete control. As long as they keep their heads about them, don't make any silly mistakes. I mean, right now, smoking into, let's say hypothetically, what they can see in the dire bottom jungle. I mean, they could, but they don't need to. They can simply push that top tier 1, wait for Roche. Their options are pretty unlimited right now.
Some nice work at least securing 2 bounty runs for Carbon. I mean, that's something, right? But I mean, 180 goals isn't...
As I speak about the risky plays, Omnius smoking up in this dire top jungle. Oh boy, Alvin's going to be in a bit of trouble here. I feel
this isn't the one they want to focus on. That's a full smoke rotation for a hero that... I mean, admittedly, he's probably been the most, I would say, impactful player this game for Carbon, so there's that, but he's still just a support.
Yeah, Phoenix smoked up here. What is going on here? Looks like he might 166. Oh boy, they had vision of him the whole time.
They do have the VS in the background though, so he is very, very safe. Not the best Doom. Once again, I do appreciate the fact that at the very least Carbon are trying to make space. You can see once again Zubs has been, I would almost say, exclusively just pushing side lanes and trying to avoid fights. It's kept him, I would say, with a shot. He's sitting at 11.5k net worth, which is, I actually think, incredibly respectable considering how far off the pace everyone else is.
Absolutely, but it's also the hero that he's playing. I mean, we spoke about how he needs to be pushing where his team isn't, pushing where Omnius isn't, and he's been doing just that, and he's been doing it very well. Although Omnius are very far ahead and they can feel it and it's very comfortable for them, there has not been a point where their lanes haven't been pushed in by this Wraith King or by Zubs where he can. Tatsu ulted up. He's not TPing out of the Blade Fury. He's going to Omni Slash in there. Oh, just so many Carbon heroes. That's not a very good Omni Slash, but he kind of needed to do it to save himself.
And they actually haven't brought a huge amount down here. The ulti from Fury though in the back lines, he's going to do every little bit of damage they need to pick up a couple, and back to life will Zubs occur, and back to death he will go as well, because there was absolutely no way out of that one. You enjoyed that one, did you, Mr. 2.0?
Sorry, that was a very hard ulti. Amazing stuff. And they managed to do it all without Tatsu. He was brought down very nicely, it must be said, by Carbon, and definitely a priority target for them. I think once he's respawned, they'll be looking for Roche. In the meantime, they're pressuring this tier 3 mid tower. Don't think they'll be able to take it.
She has her own Yules though, so immediately gets swapped back, and there's damage there for them. Spooked will find the first kill, and now they turn their attention to Acid Man, so they get another. Carbon just don't have anything left in the tank. They're going to pop their fortification, but 20k in at 27 minutes. I'm ready for game 2. I'm not going to lie. I think this one's... I mean, there's a courier waiting for Roshan, and I think that may be all she wrote. Once Roshan is back up, I think that'll probably be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah. No, look, I don't see a way out here. 20k net with advantage, 28 minutes is actually bordering on ridiculous right now. And there isn't really a way out, and not in terms, unless Omnius make a heinous mistake, horrendous mistake, sorry. And they're just going to go straight back into Rush, get that Aegis onto Tatsu, and then we should be seeing the push high ground immediately after it. There should be absolutely nothing that Carbon can do here about this.
No, it's just, I kind of feel like you always want to play the high ground. You're just going to die trying to contest Roshan at the moment. But now you're playing into the cheese as well. So you can see that the Lina has picked up the Aegis and the cheese is onto Tatsu. So they should be fine with that. That does obviously allow Lina to play very aggressively, because obviously he can get himself into better positions. But it's going to be towards the top lane where Zubs finds himself in trouble. And he does get controlled by 626 as well as Spooked. And just look at the damage. This is absurd. They're not backing off. They're kind of respecting the fact that there could be a TP rotation coming in, I guess. But they're going to find a kill onto Elvin, onto Dark Willow, and they find the first death on the Wraith King. And where are you, Wraith? I've lost you. Oh, I don't even know how you got there. You even fooled me.
He juked really well. Sorry, I was watching the CM kill onto Elvin. And
Did you get the front stun? Oh my word! 626 almost had him. Sorry, 2.0.
Yeah, no worries.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
That was
attack.
it's a bit of a tight squeeze there. Alright, and as predicted, it looks like they are setting up to push onto the high ground here. They do need to be careful. Alvin is on his way back, and as we've seen from early in this game, Alvin's Dark Willow has been highly annoying. That Terrorize, honestly, changing what would have been dire team fights for the dire into something possible.
Well, once more, this does feel like very this game has been totally one-way traffic, but they do have the tools they need right now to go high ground. They have pretty much everything they need. They're so far ahead. I wouldn't be too surprised if they just maybe look for a smoke pickup first. I guess there's something in that. And they might find a really big one here as well. Zubs realizes what's going on, but he is caught out. Gets off the stun though, but he's being tracked by 60 seconds spooks once more. They're going to get the heals, and the sun will make no mistake getting off the light strike array. And they bring in Unique. There's very little out of this for Zubs. He will have Reincarnation, and he will have the Blink Dagger, but this is a hard one to get out of. The Terrorize comes in and buys Zubs a lifeline, but he's not out of trouble just yet. In fact, he didn't get the Blink off, so caught out, and that's all they need. They can use this to go high ground. Does he have buyback? The answer is yes, but even forcing that out is another truly, truly drastic issue for Carbon to try and compete with. And OG now start making their way up the high ground for what might just be the final push of the game if it all goes according to plan. Does Wraith even buy back here? I mean, I feel like he has to, but at the same time if he does, it also feels like a lose anyways.
Yeah, look, I don't think he's going to be able to make a difference. Not in this situation at least. I think if it was a tier 3 tower or a Rex race, then sure, but I don't see how he contributes to this team fight, especially without... Oh, he's maybe they just let each Rex go and get up that AC.
Yeah, he's going to hang on to it, and I can totally understand, because it does feel like if he buys back into this, they lose anyways, so maybe just hang on to it for a better fight where you have some kind of advantage. Maybe you found a pick and you can turn it into a 5v4, any kind of advantage that they're desperate for at the moment. But how do you kill these people? I mean, 66 is sitting here with a BKB completed now as well. He's got a Christmas, and if he really wanted to, he could just spend a moment finishing off his Daedalus. And he's already melting cores. I mean, I gotta say that the game has felt like pretty much Dark Willow.
Acid Man here.
Oh yeah, they do catch him out. Unique might actually die for this. They do get quite a bit of damage off onto the. Oh, in fact, they'll do off onto the Shrek, so they go straight back in. Dax now caught out. No save available from him because the Brambles are gonna hold everyone in place and keep them close enough potentially to pick him back up. And they do charge in off him. The silence though on the Doom working nice. That's on Doom. What happened there?
Oh, very nice
done. We'll find the re-engagement, but no follow-up to speak of. So in the end, looks like that'll be the end of that.
Very nice wall stomp nonetheless. I think that, as we spoke about during the draft, Spook doesn't really have a Doom target aside from the Leshrac, and as we've seen throughout this game, he's been using it in more of a defensive manner than, you know, a pick-off sort of a manner. So instead of using it to potentially kill one of the cores, he's using it in a way in which he's saving his teammates. So any potential stuns that would be coming out, any sort of team fight changing abilities that might be used, he's saving his Doom for that, and we've seen it time and time again, and in that respect it's been a pretty good game by him.
And life getting very, very challenging at the moment. The net has effectively just been, it's become a noose actually. There's only one place that they can really move, and it's towards bottom lane where they're getting engaged upon here. They both get caught out in the cogs, and Unique on the front lines, but the support from Fury does get silenced on the back line, but it's not enough. They pick up 3 very, very easily in the end, and although they potentially could buy back on the Wraith King, he's the one who's alive at the moment. It looks like the only one with buyback. Yep, that's it. That is game, and the GG is in fact called. So honestly, that was about as one-sided as you're gonna get it.
Yeah, I'd say that we were just given a masterclass by the side of Omnius here, Halbert, and although I would say very well played to both teams, I would say in particular to Omnius, congratulations in game 1. That was a treat to see.
Yeah, it's I think this was more a testament again to how good Omnius looked. They really. There's a difference often when you see games and you watch how they play out, where you can say that a team has been beaten by their own mistakes or just not been allowed to play Dota. I mean, you look at the opportunities they had; they just weren't there. The Bloodseekers seemed to have little to no impact throughout the entire course of that match. I would say Elvin looked really good in his Dark Willow. He did seem to do well against the odds, basically. But Phoenix, not really present in that game, and same for Zub. It's just he pushed the side lanes. He did what he could, but there's just nothing to work around. There's nothing he could actually contribute because there was no team fight. There was no ability for them to play on the front foot. And it just came down to, I'd say, those early stages when Omnius just made better decisions for the first 10 minutes. They had better items, and then they never looked back.
And it has nothing to do with the skill level of other teams. It's the way that Omnius worked together, and they effectively suffocated any chances of Carbon coming back into that. And it just goes to show that they really do have a great synergy between themselves, and they've been playing a while together at top level. Yeah, and it really showed in that game. It was incredibly well done, and it was almost like putting a puzzle together and getting that last piece where everything just works. And in doing that, they managed to suffocate Carbon, and pretty impressive to watch.
Yeah, I mean, when you look from that perspective, one side just doing incredibly well, and the other side not being able to play. I mean, how do Carbon even come back from this? That's a real question. How do you even start your next game?
Oh, I think this is where that tournament experience comes in so handy, Halbert. It's a case of, yes, we've just been beaten. We understand that we've been beaten convincingly, but what do we do now to change that? How do we come back? How do we change, the way in which they control the game? We need to first of all look at our draft. We need to look at our communication and what it is that we're trying to achieve, and that's doable. It's just, are Carbon able to do it? And if they are, then they're going to show some real grit, and I'm excited to see that, and I really hope they do.
Yeah. Well, we will be back very shortly. We're going to take a quick break, but stick around because we'll be going back into this VS Gaming Championship matchup between two winner bracket ties, Origin versus Carbon, coming up soon.
So, gentlemen, are you ready for this quiz?
Yeah, no, this is
quickly. It's going to burn a
hurt.
hole through your finger.
Dude, no.
The sheer joy.
Dude.
Great, welcome back everyone. We are about to go into game 2 once more. That's Origin versus Carbon. The two sides, of course, really playing, and yeah, pretty one-sided affair. I'm not going to lie, I'm just going to call it as is. Some serious problems right now for the side of Carbon that they need to answer. As you mentioned, they need to kind of come back in and change things up and also not get tilted from the previous game. Feels like there's a lot that needs to happen. Do you think this is where you go to sort of just comfort picks that control lanes and almost ignore what your opponents are playing?
I think so, Halbert. I think it comes down to comfort strategies. Not even comfort heroes. It's what do we know that we do well at, and how do we stop Omnius stopping us, essentially. The tricky part is that Omnius are notorious for, as I said before, the cheese strats. So they've got to protect themselves against that as well. But I think, the strategies that Carbon might have been wanting to hold off for later on in the tournament, we might see them picking up now, and really bringing out or coming out guns blazing, I hope. Yeah, so that would be my suggestion, or at least my expectation from the side of Carbon here. I think that we'll be able to get a good idea of what's happening in the draft, though.
I must admit as well, going to that first game, the first couple of minutes, I actually want to check the graphs even, see if this, yeah, it was really tight for a while, and then it just wasn't. It was like this extreme kind of cutoff there. We mentioned that, like, okay, so net worth always felt like it was going the way of Omnius, but even looking at the the win probability, etc., it was actually quite close up until about the, I'd say, 15-minute mark, and then it just died. It was just out of nowhere. It went so fast, so quickly in Origin's favor. To me, that has been one of the principles I think we've seen the really strong teams in this tournament consistently do, is just absolutely abusing power spikes to the point that you cannot come back. Is that an issue around the understanding of Dota, and maybe Omnius just having a outright better understanding of Dota? Is it a patch, a meta thing, or is it just a bad game for Carbon?
Hobbit, I think it comes down to something even more basic than that. In that, Omnius or Unique and Spook do an incredible job pressuring top and forcing Alvin to help. And with not having any kill potential on the Lina early, with only Avenge, Dark Willow support, that you're almost forcing all of your resources into one lane and allowing the Lina and the Juggernaut to farm away. And I believe that that's what's happened. And it comes down to the picks, to the draft. I mean, if you're going to be picking a Vengeful Spirit and a Dark Willow as your two supports, you need to be prepared for what's going to happen, right? I mean, if you don't have any kill potential in the safe lane or in the mid lane, you got to be willing to have your Wraith King and your Wraith King slightly underleveled, as well as him not being able to do what you want him to do. So yeah, I would say it comes down to an understanding of the game, but I think it's also just the execution and Omnius realizing their strengths and what they're able to do with their draft early on, and insofar as that they were able to create space for their two, key pick cores. I'd like to see what Carbon can do with second pick here, and maybe they can, reverse that around and do the same thing to Omnius if they get second pick. Yeah, that would be my sort of broad spectrum analysis on what happened in that game.
Well, don't be too surprised if things do change. I think we've seen this a lot in South African Dota. Sides will, in fact, get totally hammered in game 1 and then come back and reverse sweep a series. So it's not over just yet. And of course, what they're playing for is truly significant. It is, of course, a position in the top 6. You definitely want to stay in upper bracket as well. It keeps you alive an extra game. I mean, it's such a massive jump just from winning this one game. And of course, from this, that is literally one Dota game away. And we do have all the players readying up as well. So that Dota game is going underway any second now. I do think, additionally to one of the things I do want to see from Carbon as well, is that it felt like they didn't have much catch-up potential in the heroes. It did kind of feel like if the heroes fell behind, there weren't really options for them to play their way back into it. I mean, there was no like massive counter initiator like an Earthshaker that can just turn a fight for you. Most of the heroes literally had to be playing from in front, and the moment they weren't in front, it was kind of, okay, we'll watch them play Dota and hope for the best. And hopefully this time around will be a little bit better. But we are jumping into that second matchup here. Ladies and gentlemen, Omnius Gaming versus Carbon.
Omnius Gaming Origin versus Carbon. Game 2.
All right, welcome back, everyone.
Remaining.
Omnius will be banning out
5
first here. Let's
remaining.
see what they go for. I don't know if we saw enough from Carbon for them to change anything drastically. I mean, I think their banning will likely be pretty much the same in this game. I mean, there you go. It's immediately banned out. But Clockwork, Carbon's going to get rid of, and I believe Clockwork was that was kind of like a pick that didn't, that was not working out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Omnius did a great job on it. Unique playing that very well, and then we spoke about the pressure that they applied into that Wraith King lane. So I like the ban. I like that it's
10
now
seconds remaining.
team specific bans. We see the draw
5
inversely
seconds
coming out from
remaining.
Omnius, which Carbon banned previous game, and we spoke about how they are meta picks. This just goes to show that Omnius are feeling confident, and the mind games are starting already. They're not bothering to ban out any of Carbon's heroes. They don't seem to be too worried. I am happy to see that Carbon have second pick here, and I'm hoping that they will be able to do something similar in terms of ensuring lane dominance, and maybe pulling an Omnius trick on Omnius themselves. Oracle ban from the side of Carbon. They obviously know that Fury has been spamming the hero. It's very strong currently in the meta. The Purge being great, Heal being great, so much sustain. Oh, and the Tiny's lit through. We see the Tiniest coming out from the side of Omnius Gaming. This, in my opinion, will be a 626 or a unique Tiny. So much burst coming out from the hero, and to be quite honest, picking it up this early limits so much in terms of what you're able to draft. You almost have to make sure
5
that your
seconds
calls are able
remaining.
to not be burst down by the
Radiant
hero, as
team
well as
pick.
having supports that are able to save. Speaking of save, we've got the IO coming out from the side of Carbon. I'm loving this draft already, Albert. I don't know about you. Those are some pretty spicy heroes for first picks.
Yeah, really is putting the cat amongst the pigeons in this one. Io and Tiny, two very
10
dominant
seconds
heroes in their own right.
remaining.
Of course, Tiny has been, I'd say that definitely the
Dire
pick
team
of late in competitive Dota. But Io, that's one of those heroes, man, that you just never count out. If somebody is a good Io player, they just do so much damage. So let's see how that works out. AA, though, picked up alongside the Tiny. What do you make of that one?
Well, I mean, A being a natural counter to IO,
Radiant
obviously
team
the
back.
A ulti can be dodged, but it does make things very difficult. Once here is frostbitten, they are no longer able to heal, and IO's his ability to do what it is that he's there to do is all of a
Dire
sudden cut
team
short.
ban.
So it's a very good pickup. I don't think the hero is currently meta though, just in terms of his ability to do as much as other current position fives in lane. That being said, we have seen it run mid in certain scenarios. I don't think that we'll be seeing that today. But yeah, a very nice counter to IO.
10 seconds
What they have
remaining.
picked up here on the side of Carbon is the Legion.
Radiant
I would
team
expect this
ban.
to be an IO Legion lane, especially with the AA pickup, A being a slightly slower support, not necessarily able to deal with that early aggression from the IO and Legion until he has his level 6. So yeah, that's a very high tempo draft from Carbon already.
10
That being
seconds
said,
remaining.
Omnius also having the Tiny able to burst things down, and you can bet your
5
bottom dollar that
seconds
Tiny will
remaining.
be running around looking for that IO 24/7, being able to pretty much get rid of him as soon as he has a blink dagger.
It's just kind of awkward, right? Because you can kind of toss the IO away. He's literally like a
Yeah.
little beach ball. So if I can't remain linked to something, it is totally reasonable. Just blink on the back lines. Just forget about trying to kill the IO. Just toss them far away from a fight, and then burst down your opponent. It's kind of a weird, like options that are available to you. I like the LC though. I'm a big fan of LC. Just the duration of it's disabled. Just treating it like actually another thing about it, I think there's the longest stun in the game if you consider LC a stunner.
Dual. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's big. Obviously, it's a double-edged sword. If you don't have enough damage in your team, it's effectively going to benefit the other team. And LC is one of those heroes that needs to be ahead at all times. So it's a it's
Dire
kind of a
team
similar
ban.
scenario to last game where Carbon want to be ahead early on and they need to pick accordingly. Let's just go back to the draft quickly,
team
Halbert. We've got Gyro, Bristleback, and Spectre bands from the side of Omnius, obviously being the classic pairings to Io. And then from the side of Carbon, we've got the Troll Warlord, Slark, and Faceless Void bands. Troll Warlord being particularly good versus the Legion,
Radiant
Slark being
team
particularly
pick.
good versus the IO, and Faceless Void being an all-round strong hero and able to deal with both the IO and the Legion. With that Chronosphere, you can pretty much trap everyone in. Okay, so it looks to me as though it's going to be a position 5 IO. I'll be interested to see what they pair that with. Now we have an even
10
higher tempo
seconds
off lane.
remaining.
Halberd, we've got a Tusk Legion. My word, the amount
5
of damage
seconds
that's going to come
remaining.
out early from that lane is absolutely savage. Oh, and AA cannot get out of it. He's not fast enough. He doesn't have enough disable. With the tag team from Tusk and the ability to close that gap early with the snowball and as well as trapping heroes with his shards, it's going to be difficult. So we're probably going to see another jug, I would imagine, or even a life stealer coming out from the side of Omnius. I don't see how else they deal with that lane. And I think that Carbon have kind of drafted them into a corner with their position 1. Maybe not in terms of the entire game, but laning wise, your options are pretty limited.
I must say, if we do have a Tusk LC against an AA, it's also the one thing that also just buries you is just press the attack because you just have no options. There's nothing you can do. You try to stun someone, you try to disable someone, you just lose that ability as well. So lifestyle, but you call it perfectly. Yeah. It's going to be that life stealer that's picked up here in response. I actually really like it. Bear in mind that you now have a assortment of very, I'd say naturally high HP heroes. Obviously, even IO doesn't mind going for some. Yeah, it is a strength hero. We'll get some, items that does naturally raise it. So Lifestealer's got a lot to work with here as far as just chowing down on some HP.
Well, I think the most important thing for the LC here is that he's able to get out of this laning situation with the snowball shards. It's not too much of an issue for him. But most importantly, he's able to sit and sustain himself in lane. You can see the position 5 and position 4 from Origin not really helping out with the sustain in team fights. There's no heals coming in or saves. They're gonna have to pick a hero that's able to do that himself. And the only options are the Juggernaut and Lifestealer. That being said, Lifestealer, I feel, a very underrated hero in this patch. He has a natural BKB, he has a natural lifesteal, he has a second life and a save with his ulti. If you had to look at that in terms of items that would need to be bought to do the same thing, the hero at the moment for me is the most all-round carry. Maybe not the best, but yeah, the most balanced. And we'll be able to see Omnius and Tatsu in particular getting the most that he can out of what would otherwise be a very difficult lane.
I don't know if you agree, but I've always seen, I would say, Lifestealer and Juggernaut, if I'm perfectly honest, to be almost the Rubik's of carries, where they just can kind of work with most drafts. So they're fairly reliable to pick up. And that's what they've gone for here in both matches. Obviously, the first one using the Juggernaut, now reverting to the Lifestealer. So definitely some options available to them there. Let's see how Common deals with it. Because I will say one thing is that if LC does get ahead and is in a good position, that's interesting. I was going to say if LC does get ahead and does make it a little bit easier for him to deal with the life stealer, just controlling him, making sure they don't even have to worry about kiting him. They can just hold him down even in his enraged form. It obviously does a great deal of good. But PA coming out here, that's a pretty interesting one.
10 seconds remaining.
Hobbit, it's historically a natural counter to Lifestealer, and I see what they're trying to do here with regards to picking it up. I think that with the current meta, that's not the case anymore. Lifestealer being a natural halberd carrier, natural MKB carrier, is perfectly able to deal with the PA at all stages of the game. That being said, there's another natural MKB carrier picked up in the Wind Ranger. I would imagine that we're going to see that as
10 seconds remaining.
Sure. Well, it's a very versatile hero. I would imagine that it's going to be on 626, but it could also be running unique with the tiny run mid. The problem with the PA here, the biggest problem that I can see is the burst that the tiny is going to have, which is going to mean that it's a very, very difficult game for the PA. Yes, it'll be a PA IO lane, but IO's sustain is almost
10 seconds remaining.
it's dead slow in comparison to the burst that Tiny puts out, right?
5
So
seconds
PA not being a
remaining.
naturally high HP hero,
Dire
I
team
don't
ban.
like the pick. I'll be honest. I also don't think it fits in with this high
Radiant
tempo
team
that
pick.
Carbon are wanting to, implement. But maybe they know more than I do. Let's see how that one plays out. And the Quap and Lena ban from the side of Omnius Origin, and the Meepo and Voka bans from the side of Carbon. They know that 626 likes these heroes, and they're going to make sure
10
that those are out of
seconds
there.
remaining.
I want to add one more thing to it as well, by the way.
Sure.
What you were saying about the Tiny,
5
I
seconds
100%
remaining.
agree with. But there's something else on top of this as well. You now have effectively got a hero that doesn't really contribute much to damage by itself, and 3 melee heroes. You're pretty much walking into Ravages at this point with against the Tiny. And as you mentioned, the Tiny is going to be able to do enough damage to really deal with the PA, but the IO can't even save him because you get the ALT on top of that. But now everyone's clustered on top of potentially a Phantom Assassin trying to save it.
Yeah.
They have
Look,
problems, and this is not
Howard,
even considering the potential blink dagger on the Tiny leading to a lifesteal on top of that.
I'm going to quickly squeeze in here and say that Origin are probably going to pick up the Magnus here. And it's as you say, 3 melee cores, getting that in there, being able to buff the life stealer. What do you
Dire
do?
team
Well,
pick.
let's see what they pick up. Oh, it's a tide. Well played. Nicely done, Howard. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I was talking about the Avalanche being a Ravage, if I'm being totally
Oh,
honest. But now they have the real Ravage on the deck as well.
they
But
have the actual Ravage.
but it's I mean, it's
10
exactly what I
seconds
mean, it is the
remaining.
same point. And that's exactly the point that we're making. Is that how do you deal damage when
5
you're
seconds
walking into this like cluster against AoE disables with melee heroes like this? And I mean, now they're bringing out the once again the actual Tidehunter. Could have been the Magnus. Both were just as good in my opinion. And well, what do now? And I also, in fact, on top of that, Tidehunter is actually. I actually agree with Tidehunter here for one reason. Well, Anchor Smash, man. Like, how do you deal damage at all at this point? You forget just dying. How do you actually hit things?
Look, if I'm an occasional position 1 player, and if I was a PA walking into a tiny tide lane, I would have already in my mind
You may
called
now
GG. That is
select your
terrifying.
heroes.
All right, and the puck pickup. Look, this is actually a very good puck game, and for a couple of reasons. They now have a bit of magic burst, some range, something that lanes well versus the Wind Ranger. That silence, surprisingly, very very good versus Tiny and Lifestealer. Lifestealer, half of the hero's strengths are essentially its ability to BKB with its Q, and Puck being able to stop that. So yes, very good pick here. Does it change the fact that Carbon's draft is inferior? I don't think so, but nonetheless, nice Puck pickup.
Yeah, I think it's just about checking boxes at the moment. I mean, if you look at like team fight, that you could, I guess, say that Puck is a good team fighter, but it's not as good a team fighter as Tidehunter, Tiny, and AA, and it doesn't have much backing it up. As far as the cores go, like Lifestealer, sure he can be silenced, and there isn't, I would say, a real save, but there's so much stun that it doesn't matter because if you do get off the silence onto the Lifestealer, well, you're probably just going to have Tidehunter blink on top of you, or run on top of you, or the Tiny toss him. And there's actually so many options with this lineup, and Carbon just aren't checking enough boxes. I feel like Omnius pretty much check all of them, with the minor, I would say, exception that they don't have. In fact, I was going to say they don't have the most amazing of like creep clearance, but to be perfectly honest, Tiny can do that if he really wants to as well. So they're pretty much golden, and I don't think Carbon have enough answers. I think this is 2-0.
Yeah, that would be my prediction. I would love to be proven wrong though. I'm excited for for some real competitive Dota, some nail biting stuff. But looking at the draft, I've got to agree with you. I think that this is looking like a 2-0.
Well, let's see if Carbon can prove us wrong. There's the cast is cursed, of course, and you never know. At the end of the day, having the better draft on paper does not necessarily mean you have the winning combination that you need in that particular matchup. So let's see who does in fact come out on top of this one. Of course, Ominous Gaming Origin taking on Carbon in this possibly deciding game here of the series. I mean, I'm curious to see what Origin decided to start this one off. Last time we saw they were very sneaky, moving towards the mid lane. This time taking a very different approach. Once again, I think the level 1 spells undoubtedly favor OG at this point. But Omnius can do a lot more with the level 1 abilities. I mean, you have I was going to say you could potentially hold on to spell for Gush. That hasn't been done. But even then, you have stuns on the Tiny. Okay, never mind. Everyone's picking spells. Never mind. Just pick your spells. I was gonna say you have options if you want them, and then I'm just clicking around, seeing that like literally most of the players just like nah, we're just gonna level it up.
We're cool.
I really want Chilling Touch in lane. Like I really want it. I'm not gonna worry about First Blood. I'm getting Chilling Touch.
Yeah.
So okay. So actually, not a huge amount of kill potential in the end. Tiny could still cause problems though.
Yeah, it's all about the toss, really, right? If OG play this correctly and they do catch these guys, there's every possibility that they're tossing someone onto spooked on a tower, and then the tower will do most of the work.
Admittedly, though, I don't think you want to
The
fight
battle
into
begins.
tag team, and that's exactly what they're going to find here. They do back off. They respect the tiny. They will go 2 apiece anyways. No one takes any damage. No resources used really. So I think there was like not even a hit on anyone.
Well, I
Yeah.
tried.
That was peaceful, right?
Yeah, very peaceful.
No, we can always get along in this game of Dota. What do you say, guys? Put down the swords and magic. Let's just pick up bounty runes. See what happens. The creeps can do the rest.
All right, so I'm quite interested to see this mid lane, Howard. Like we saw 66 do an incredible job in game 1, and now he has a bit of an unfavorable matchup, in my opinion. Let's see if he can maybe do something with it. It'll be a good matchup, I feel. I'm quite excited to see what happens there. With regards to the top lane, I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think that Tide can practically solo that lane and still come out on top.
I actually think he should. I genuinely think that Unique should just make his presence known elsewhere, because they can't pressure the Tide at all. There's not a thing they can do, and he can pressure them, especially with levels.
Correct. That being said, like, I don't see how Tatsu comes up second best here in his safe lane. I don't see how Carbon do anything. Like, Alvin can tag team as much as he like. Tatsu's just going to be able to regen through that damage without a problem.
Well, they have managed to pull this creep wave back as well, so nice work by Unique. He seems to agree that his job is just to be as annoying as possible. Heads up, collects creeps, returns them to Tide. I feel like, that's pretty simple. And even for the there's no pressure here. Like, this Tiny can just do this. There's no pressure anywhere, and that's the problem. I say the closer you have the pressure once again is the mid lane, but even then, I mean, you mentioned that it was somewhat favoring the puck, and I don't entirely disagree. But this is also one of those like old school mid battles that people used to have. This was considered one of the more balanced mid. So I definitely think you can win with the win range. I think if you're the better player, you aren't too scared of this. You just don't get silenced really.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But remember we spoke about how Carbon now, with these heroes, need a high tempo draft. They need to be running around as 4, causing all sorts of problems. And if they're not pressuring from this early, I believe that Omnis just win the lanes, right? And it's a similar situation to last time. Hey, we have more net worth, we have more items, we have more map control. How are you going to out-tempo us? And we see in that bottom lane, Dax going down.
Yeah, I'm not too sure exactly how that happened. It was totally unexpected. I mean, it kind of felt like this lane was supposed to be a case of, well, you can't really kill anyone, so who farms better?
We farm, you farm scenario.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, are they gonna kill again? Oh. There's a snowball, so it shouldn't be possible. But look at the damage they're putting out into this. Yeah, this is the lane that they needed to win as well.
Yeah, it's because Dax didn't take a level and press the attack. He decided to take Moment of Courage instead, which would probably explain why he died level 1, not being able to get rid of the open wounds called Feet combo. I think that's just a bit of a mistake from him.
Yeah, it does have it now, but well, at the very least, to do Dispel of Clarity. Ooh, I don't know, man. I've seen games like this before. I've seen games like this before, though, where you just like, this team is so doomed, and they pull it back. So
yeah,
so let's
there's no reason why they can't. Absolutely none. If I know Alvin, which I don't well enough, unfortunately, but if I was him, I would definitely just look to get my level 4, get a smoke, go mid, see what we can do versus the Wind Ranger. As soon as Dream Coil is up in the puck, that's kill potential. That's something. Slow 66 down.
Well, good. 4 minutes in at most, a little bit quieter just for to kill. The CS, the one positive I guess is that the Zub PA is doing well, sitting at the highest with this Tide Hunter. One less deny, but that's okay.
It's alright. That's not too shabby.
I mean, actually, that's pretty good considering. I actually feel like you can really make the life miserable of this PA if you want to. So he's actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the way that we painted it, all doom and gloom early on, it is really good, and he's doing just fine in that lane. I regenning him up. Oh boy, Fury down. Sorry, I missed that again, guys.
Don't worry, honestly. We will miss it together. It does come out on Fury. So
That's
I think that
teamwork.
Hey, you know, they said in the panel, like, you win as a team, you lose as a team. So we lost the first 2 kills of this game as a team. But jokes aside, I mean, that's important. That's so important that they start getting some pressure. I mean, right now, it just seems like everyone is really trading farm. Although top lane they do find Unique, but no problem for him. He just tosses IO back. And that's kind of what we were talking about. You can just toss heroes away into that avalanche, you're totally fine. But pretty big stack here as well. So this is Tide country. I mean, Tide, one of the most efficient heroes of clearing stacks, especially if he does any, I was about to say, especially if he goes for Morbid Mask, look what's queued up first. And he is, in fact, seeing it out. He's going to send it out to this creep wave, and he's going to demolish it just A-OK. But at the very least, Acid Man is doing some okay. Listen, I'm actually never leaving bottom again. We cast here for now. We cast here from now on. Very good news, though, for Carbon finding something there.
Yeah, well, that being said, I mean, Fury doesn't really mind dying, as long as Tatsu is getting the most out of that lane that he possibly can, and currently he's getting more CS than Dax. He's they did get that kill on Dax as well, and it's all about the core versus core matchup there. Yeah, the stack is really important for Spooked right now.
So mid lane, they do in fact catch out the Wind Ranger. He pops his ultimate as well as the Wind Runner, but they're going to force him back, it seems. Support comes in though, Unique. Interested in this one. There was in fact an illusion orb toss towards the ruin. He picks up a regen, so...
Oh, yeah, smiling on him.
You play much mid 2.0?
Occasionally when I'm forced to, yes.
Because that's the moment where you now have to win the lane, right? Because you pick up the regen and like, listen, I basically got a full fountain experience whilst your opponent is sitting with an empty bottle. It's basically cheating. That's as close to hacking as I think you can get mid, without it being actual hacking.
I feel like you're the better mid because you're the one picking up the regen. I'm always the dude sitting with the empty bottle, so I would go so far as to say I'm a little bit salty about the fact that Rune is in the game before 10 minutes.
Fair enough. It's honestly quite dominant. So really will help out the puck. I'm not kidding about how much a big deal that does make, but unfortunately for him, he was behind, and significantly so, and that level is more significant right now. So possibly gets him back in it a bit. He does have
a bit of trouble top. Oh, he's out of here. He's a goner.
Looks like they might find a little bit more out of this one. Spooked as well as Unique got interested in it, but it looked like they're gonna have to back off the IO doing his work. That's gonna become a lot harder, but the A is only level 3, so you probably want to toss the tome his way at some point. But also remember, Tiny Unique actually further behind in experience. I think his level 6 matters less, like significantly less than the A, so you probably do give the tome to the Ancient Apparition. But looks like they will re-engage her. Look how far back! Is it crazy? They're so dead. They're so dead in this. So immediate toss comes out. The avalanche was actually beautiful though, and it got a little bit lucky. I thought he was just going to toss him back towards the Tide Hunter, who was actually close. I think he was possibly just outside tower range.
Yeah,
but
in the end, it was just the shards actually that effectively. He didn't have the cast range to cast the toss, which is
he did get the toss on him, didn't he? I feel like he actually got the toss on the toss. Yeah. I know, I'm crazy. Stream chat can tell us.
Yeah, let us know, please.
Well, they re-engage her. Unique this time will be on the back end of this, but they get some support coming. They do snowball back, and Unique is still alive, and the Ravage gets popped as well. This could potentially turn things quite drastically. They're not helping out Alvin. They want to keep the PA alive, so no tether available. And in the end, it does come at a pretty hefty price. Ravage? Don't know if that was worth it there. I mean, they saved the Unique Tiny, but honestly, I kind of feel like Ravage just existing is more important than that kill or that save.
Yeah, I think so. I also think that OG are committing far too much to try and get the stack, and Alvin rightly so coming up top and causing them to only take the stack at 8 minutes. I mean, I feel like Spooked had that Morbid Mask from very early on, and he just hasn't had the space to do it. Alvin coming back in, they're going to make sure they get Fury here. This is just not worth it.
Yeah, they can get more. Spooked is in a lot of trouble. In fact, team's up. They're just going to kill him as well. Do they get Unique as well here? I mean, they do have the Stifling Dagger available. That's a pretty deep charge for Tiny. The stun comes out with the Avalanche, but yeah, they're right on top of him. What are they doing? OG! And they're going to lose the stack for it as well. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, that is a huge swing. I mean, they've lost a K. They've lost a K at this point in the game, and they lose the stack. It's going to get worse than that. I mean, all of the good work that they've done up until this point, they were definitely dominant up until this point in the game, where they have in one foul swoop, just totally throwing the first 10 minutes. You may as well start again. You started the early game again.
Okay, let's regroup, guys. The first 10 minutes does not matter. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean,
alright.
well, check it out. Look at the stats. They had about 1,000 lead in net worth. They now have nothing. They had about, well, they're even on XP. It's now 1,500 in Carbon per side. Is that correct? That Carbon, they're ahead here.
Yep.
Is it going to happen to us? You really have a point where we're like, nah, Carbon's draft. They can't do this. And then...
I doubt it sincerely, Helvet, but I've seen stranger things happen. I think it's most important, despite that exchange and how costly it was and how much they've given this PA, is that Tatsu and 626 are still sitting pretty at the moment, and they are winning their lanes by quite a fair margin.
Aggressive snowball comes in here. They do also commit the ulti from Elvin, but they will find the first kill. It's going to be traded out. In comes the Dream Call on the sidelines, though, and they do have some support here. Ravage available in 5 seconds. Just keep an eye on that one. Zub standing his ground. The Ravage is likely to pop. There it is. Comes through. Going to keep 66 alive. And the IO on the back line still alive, being ignored for the most part. They're re-engaged back onto 66, but they aren't able to finish the job. But they do have more. The duel is there. OG falling apart here at the moment. They're trying to walk back in. Unique crit brought down. Tied down to the back line. Wants to kill the IO. Does do so, but it might just pay with his life. Dax in the backline is just biding his time. Doesn't have much to work with here, but of course wants the experience. Why not? Carbon pick up a couple. They still want more. Fury, you're going to get scouted out. Fury's going to be brought down, and they're going to bring in the life stealer. Can he make this work? Does he win this, or does this turn around terribly? They lose a courier as well. The stun comes on to Zubs. He doesn't have much options, looking for something to blink to, but nothing available just yet, and they should be able to track down. Unique will come back and misses the avalanche, and Zubs is helped out by the puck now, and no toss available. The range is quite different on the sideline. 6-6 finishes the job. Phoenix, he tried to get up, but the toss was beautiful. Phoenix is going to be brought down. OG, why weren't you playing like this before? Okay, welcome back to the Dota game. They remembered how to play, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my word. It was still a 4-for-3 exchange, but I don't think that that's exactly what they needed. They're also forcing Tatsu out of a lane, which he was winning comfortably. That being said, I did appreciate the rotation from 66 to help out this top lane. Yeah, as good as that last passage of play was, still a net loss for the side of OG.
Don't break my heart here.
Sorry.
I enjoyed that so much.
It was exciting. It really was. Alright, Alvin just going to sap up the XP in this bottom lane. OG pressuring this top lane. They want to make sure they get map control into the Carbon jungle. Don't give this PA an avenue to catch up. Or I say catch up, it's only about 500 gold net worth off of the Wind Ranger.
Yeah, Dux actually finds the engagement he's looking for. They're going to bring down Fury. The Dream Call is there as well. Carbon looking pretty good here. They're going to find another kill onto Unique. And there's not much that Scoot can do. He doesn't have Ravage available this time. Out comes Tatsu. He realizes he's in trouble. He gets controlled with the War Sponge. Tatsu, very low, but he's armlet toggling through it. They still want to find this kill. They're going to start tracking him down. They find him with the silence as well. They turn their attention back and the tight end. Beautiful shackle shot comes in from 626. Can he find the kill though? Not going to be able to do so just yet. Does have the Windrunner available. He is being swarmed right now. And 626 trying to run away, trying to bail out. In comes the puck again. They still want to finish this. They've got to be careful if you're in the back line. Still not able to switch it. They're going to try and finish the job with the Elvin. Yes, though, they kept the chilling touch, but he's able to snowball back towards the creep wave. And they do have an incoming Unique. He finishes the job with the power shot from behind. 626, though, very deep in. Looks like they might be interested in turning this one back around. They realize they need to respect the tower, though. Carbon back off. But 7-15, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Dota game on our hands.
Speaking of big match temperament, Halbert, Carbon are doing it. Oh my word, these fights are incredible. Yes, they are letting go of the other lanes, but I mean, they are just absolutely rolling over OG in these fights. It's fantastic to watch.
Oh, they are giving us something to cast, and I tell you, I wish Game 1 was like this, because I would have loved to have cast 2 games of this kind of tempo, this kind of aggression. But as you mentioned, things aren't quite great just yet. They do have the duel available. Do they want this one? Tatsu could be in trouble here. They're going to go in there and commit the duel, but they actually backed off for the Tusk. He comes back in, not able to... Oh, he's completely whiffed it. They go back, and this could be disastrous. Back off, avert your gaze. This is going to end terribly for you. Tatsu going to help out Elvin, but in the sideline, 626 comes in. He's going to finish the job onto this Legion Commander. and now it's gonna be a pretty poor power shot. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because they find what they're looking for. A comedy of errors though from Carbon. That's what it's like playing these tournaments. These players wouldn't make these mistakes 99 times out of 100, but in this kind of environment, it could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's high pressure, high stakes. You know, you're going to expect these mistakes to happen, but at the same time, we're seeing some incredible plays on the very same note. You know, just fluid stuff. I think that's the first mistake we've seen from Carbon in his team fights, and unexpectedly from Alvin. But yeah, on the whole, it's keeping them alive. They are able so far to keep up with the tempo of their drafts that they want to execute. This is turning into a very exciting Dota game. I say turning, it's already there. I'm pretty hyped.
I'm definitely as well. Also, want to point out, Unique must have taken the tone, by the way, because we still have a poor Fury. This poor man, the most humblest of Dota players that has ever existed. I mean, this dude is still sitting on level 5 with 15 minutes, and you have one of the best ultis in the game. Award, gonna do it.
There we go. He's got it. He's
Fury.
got it.
That was a gift. That was an absolute gift. It was planted on an expiring Sentry Ward, just finding level 6 guys. I'm so happy.
I think it's a case of, you know, they prioritize it Unique just to get that burst up. Excuse me. The burst up for the PA, obviously being the biggest problem, and they value it over the frostbite from the AA. I can get that. I can get behind that. I don't think it's a terrible idea.
All right. Well, with that said, there is still that Ice Blast available, so that Frostbitten is going to matter a lot. I mean, think about the heal that's just suddenly gone. You no longer have press the attack. I mean, that hasn't been leveled up much, I guess, but it's still something. And most importantly, obviously, is that IO. Just you know, such an important tool in his arsenal, just completely deleted. And as you mentioned, they now will have a significant burst coming out from Unique. Can very easily deal with the Zubs. Okay, but he's got the Deso. I'm honestly, I'm gonna say, I'm actually feeling very confident that Carbon can take this matchup. I mean, let's see what Dota says. Dota says the win probability is still favoring OG, but only just, it's about 55% maybe.
Well, that makes sense. Okay, so let's just have a look at the items. We've spoken about the natural MKB carry on the Wind Ranger, and she's got that now. 66 had that 16 minutes MKB, super important versus the PA.
I thought because they do find what was a PA. It was a PA, now it's a corpse.
I don't believe you, I don't see a PA.
I don't know if the PA is still the PA, man. That is what we were talking about in the draft. I love when players that prove us right. When we talk about the fact that, like, that Avalon toss combination can delete something, and hey, you could stick a life stealer in it, and that's exactly what happens. Smoke comes out though, so you may have to hold on to that item summary for just a minute, because we're gonna have some action here. 2.0. We have some fantastic action. Yeah, it's the best kind of thing. Can they find something? Who are they gonna find? They're gonna find somebody walking towards mid lane. Haven't found anything just yet. Dax finds Smoke and he's out.
He knows. He knows. His blink is down though. 66 using his wind run. Oh boy. Have they seen him?
I don't know if they've seen him, but they're going to find something else. They're going to go straight back in. The Ravage is there! The Ice Blast comes through, and Carbon have no answers to this just yet. The Snowball going to return fiber to drag him all the way back, and now Alvin in trouble. Dax, what are you doing in there? There's nothing for you! There's only death, and Carbon lose 4! The only survivor, Phoenix, and I'll tell you what, he was just like, guys, listen, I'm not playing this fight. I have no interest in this. And now, I tell you what, now you can talk about items because there's no one left to compete against OG on the map.
Some say there's no Iron Team, I say there's no Phoenix. He was not there. Anyway, alright, so we've got the MKB on the Wind Ranger, super critical versus the PA in that evasion, and we see that Tatsu very close to his, approximately 750 gold away. So two very, very big items, very important items. We spoke about the Blink and the Tiny before the game started, and Unique now has that up. On the side of Carbon, we've got the Deso on the PA, also super critical, and that's Aegis up on Tatsu. Sorry, they're going to put it on 66, apologies. Alright, we've got the Deso up on PA. He is able to, Zubs is now able to burst quite a few of OG's heroes, and they are going to smoke up, believing that they can get something into the Aegis. Be very interested to see what that's
They're
about.
going to see all of it. They blink up the high ground, and they
boy.
find the Tusk, and they don't manage to finish the job. They come back and remember, no Ravage this time. In comes the IO, in comes the support. Dreamcall is there this time. This time Phoenix does support. The AALB does manage to pick the Tusk. That's what they're going to get for it. Looks like Carbon will survive this one. They need to back off though, because they realize they've seen this story before. This is what OG did last time. They got a little bit of action, and they just rode that wave all the way to the win. And it feels like they're getting that momentum again.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, some other big items to note, guys. There's the blink and the Yules on Puck, making him very elusive. Although I would like to see the Puck in these fights and these smokes. It just feels like Carbon have lacked something in those past two fights. Just a little bit of lockdown, a little bit of burst. Might have changed the way things went along there. Make up on the IO. We obviously have seen the blink on the Legion. Oh boy, Legion in trouble here. Okay, he's going to press the attack off the cold feet. He's going to be just fine.
He wants a piece, but he goes back in, but he is not alone here. There's a couple of his opponents around, and they're going to get the Yule's engagement off into Fury. They get the duel, they want this, so they're keen on that damage, but it does mean 50 seconds, they aren't able to potentially commit to a fight. In that siege creep, there is a gift. There's something that is a little unique to this Dota game. It's not unique though, it's a lifesteal, and he's interested. He's backing off back around. He's got some support, but it's going to be Fury.
That suits up. Siege tank is chasing as well.
Yeah, and looks like they might find a little bit more. The avalanche into everything. This one, there's the Ravage as well. It's going to be enough to pick up too. On the sidelines, Phoenix was able to get out. Dax is caught out though. They do get the shackle. They do get the shackle. That means they're going to get another one. And they haven't managed to get their puck out of harm's way yet just yet either. He's still backing off. He's still being hunted. He does Weighing Rift back towards. He's trying to get out there, ping him out. The Blink Dagger finally does come back online though. But another 340. Man, when last did Carbon get a real kill? The only kill they've gotten so far in a while is Fury. And I'm sorry to say it, because with all the love and the Fury right now, he doesn't matter. He knows he doesn't matter. He's doing his job if he's dying at this point, because no one else is. And remember, there was about 15-5. It's 17-17 now.
Yeah, this is looking pretty bad for the side of Carbon. It's a 9k net worth lead, and it just comes down to the timings. I mean, Halbert, we spoke about it in the previous game, and it's, you know, OG have realized now, okay, yes, we've got a MKB on the win range, we've got a blink on the Tiny, we have enough to do this. The Ravage is up, and now it's enabled Laststealer or Tatsu to pick up his MKB. The whole team is hitting incredibly hard. They have all the amounts of lockdown. When they don't have Ravage, they're backing off, they're securing the map, they're farming, getting as much as they can out of it. As soon as that Ravage is up, we expect the smoke, we expect the play. And unfortunately, it's now gotten to a point where I think even if the Ravage isn't up, I don't think Carbon win these fights.
No, and this was one of the worries that we had. I mean, firstly, we saw the Avalanche into it as well, but whole mid lane, they do find the Tide Hunter and they commit everything. They want that kill, they will fight it, but beautiful play from Phoenix. He actually went for more. He was caught by the Dream Call on the sidelines, but they decide to back off. They don't like this fight. It's a pity. They actually had it. They would have taken the Unique most likely before any kind of re-engagement could have come in from OG squad. Tatsu was headed towards the top, but they just didn't know, and they didn't think it was worth killing the sport. But at this point, killing anything matters. But Tide is a big one.
Yeah, I think they made the right play with the information that was given to them. They unfortunately didn't know where Tatsu or 66 were, so I can get behind that play and that decision. Tatsu is starting to run away with this net worth at the moment, and what a lot of people don't realize is how good of a farming tool MKB is, and it currently is the most economically viable damage item. Picking that up on any core hero is going to speed up your farm and increase the damage that you're putting out in fights by a very, very large amount. So we can expect Tatsu to really be starting to snowball from here.
So they find a big pick here as well. Zubs, he gets saved by the snowball, but he's being pulled back into the Ravage. Spook, he's going to hold on to it for now. In comes the Eye as well to help out. So just over the court. He goes back and gets the Ravage on a couple. In comes the second Ravage, if you will. Unique makes no mistake, and they're going to kill Korea for the trouble as well. Insult to injury, another 3-4. It feels like we're on a broken record here, just the same result every single time. Carbon don't have answers to this. They don't have any kind of options to try to deal with what's going on. It's once again, hey guys, we need a split push. We need to start cutting waves, prevent OG from getting on top of our base. But I think we've just gone through this exact exercise.
Yep. That being said, that's
Dyer's top
I mean,
tower
carrying
has
over from
fallen.
game one, another Aegis expired that hasn't been used. And it doesn't really feel like OG needed at this point in these fights. They are carrying themselves through these fights without any assistance whatsoever.
Right. Well, next Aegis definitely. I mean, this is the thing, right? This is exactly what OG did last time. They grouped up in their opponent's jungle. They waited for the next Roshan, and they took the next Roshan. Daxed. Oh, hold on, 66. Waited a little while to cancel that. He was doing a lot of damage to himself, but they once again find the pick. And there's just no way for Zubs to go at this point. He's trying to get that BKB, but I don't know if he can get it. Oh, what is going on? Dax? They're engaging mid. Lifesteal's all alone. Tatsu did not care. I mean, he showed him no respect there. Literally, Tatsu versus Carbon, and it's still Tatsu versus Carbon because they see there's a Tide Hunter farming. Wind Ranger, nowhere to be seen at the moment in this fight, but Tatsu does not care. I'll fight all of you.
It's actually a god tier lifestealer game for Tatsu. Halberd, he's got the Bastion now. He has the ability to just man fight the PA, man fight the Legion, man fight the Tusk. Io needs to run away every time he sees him. You know, it's only the Pug.
Nice, Dax. Beautiful blink though. Able to survive the engagement. We're tipping Unique. Let's blame Unique for this one, right?
Bit of banter between the team, I like it.
I think, to be honest, it was, I guess, a misplay. They could have possibly tossed his lifesteal or something. But the blink was just good. It was just a solid blink, right?
No, absolutely.
Get the blink from the fog. It was a long blink. It was.
Yeah. Oh boy. Just looking at Tatsu farming mid, if I was Carbon, I would already be terrified. What do you do versus him right now?
I mean, you pretty much have to silence him and duel him where no one else can assist. Oh, top lane. Goodbye, PA. 66. I mean, he's died literally in this position at least twice in a row, maybe 3 times. He's just trying to find some farm. He walks out here, gets killed. Walks out here, gets killed.
I also think it's a misplay from Subs. That is, I mean, all their lanes are dead right now, but effectively the dead lane. He needs to be farming in the Radiant bottom jungle and Radiant bottom lane. Like that is not the place that he wants to be, where OG has so much control and so much vision. Doesn't matter if you have blur. Like that is definitely the wrong position to be in this game, and that's his mistake.
I mean, you can see Phoenix doing a much better job of this. He's been down here in this bottom area for a while now. He's getting some sort of farm. He's the highest net worth on his team, at least able to, I'd say, somewhat provide some kind of threat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is where you want to be. This is I'd say, we're behind 101. Go farm on the other side of the map. Go push out your lanes. And unfortunately, although I appreciate that he may want to push out those lanes, he can't. There's absolutely no way for this PA to do so. And I mean, well,
yeah. 66 exactly why.
He's linked out what he wants. He wants to buy 4 rapiers. I mean, I feel like if he can buy 4 rapiers, maybe they have a chance. In comes Dax. He's gonna find the engagement onto the. I actually want to say the now victim. I thought he was actually going to win that one, but the support is coming back in. OG managed to get himself caught in a dream call, but of course Tatsu doesn't care, goes in, and he just eviscerates the puck as well. Now has a full Abyssal Blade up, so guess what, guys? This Lifestealer has wings now.
Oh my word, that was a lot of damage. I actually wasn't expecting that much damage to be coming out of Tatsu, but it felt like he pretty much 3-shotted the puck, or 3-shotted Phoenix. That's pretty big.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he did. He just destroyed that man. And unfortunately for him, he is trying to get the what looked like originally he was going for the Ags, but even now lining up the travel first. But he needs that Ags badly. Once he has it, at least then he can kind of prevent Lifestealer from being obviously he'll then have the penetration of the stun. But this looks like this maybe all she wrote. Looks like OG now have found their next victim, and that next victim is relatively tiny, must be, or a Greeble or something. It's Roshan, and there's absolutely no ways the Carbon will test this.
No, not even close. Yeah, Tatsu still has that DD up now with the Aegis. He's going to be able to.
Oh, they find Io as well, and they're going to toss him back all the way back to Fury, and absolutely no way out.
This has felt very sloppy for the past 5 minutes from Carbon. Alvin going to go down as well now to 66. Tatsu at least getting the last hit. You know, just being out of position and after that pick off onto 66, like instead of overextending or moving further towards the Radiant, simply backing would have been sufficient.
Dire's
And,
top
just
tower is
feels
under
like they're a bit
attack.
out of sorts here, a little bit rattled from the side of Omnius.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
It does somewhat feel like they maybe have they've just run out of steam, right? Like there were moments, there really were some great moments, but it's turned into
Dire's structures are fortified.
well, just fortifying your base and hoping for the best. I think that's where you're at right now. You hope for the best. You're fighting to an Aegis and a cheese. You don't have many options to engage here. You know that you're getting caught up by that ice blast. Every item required, and you know they're gonna wait for their tough to come back up, but they're gonna lose racks for it.
It's a really crappy place to be in as a team as well. I mean, just waiting for the enemy team to make a mistake, and it's quite easy to lose your. Oh boy, Alvin going straight
Back
in.
line. We in fact get the Chulaf onto Fury, but I don't know if that's going to work. Into the Ravage they go, and into the Knight they go, and unfortunately, I think into the lower bracket Carbon go, because right now they are grasping at straws. Phoenix trying to stay alive, goes onto the far side, at least Mixit manages to get up, but Ultra Kill and Tatsu still fighting for his Aegis, heads towards the middle lane as well, and absolutely no reason to slow down. They still have everything that they want to fight with. Don't have a Ravage though, so maybe there's something in it, but all those buybacks result in no kills to 2.0.
Yeah, nothing whatsoever. And it's...
Okay,
sorry, Ed, what was
okay, subs? What?
Why?
Okay.
Oh boy. Okay, so subs is out, that's a dieback from him. And quite honestly, even with an eye behind you, I don't think that Zubs had any chance versus Tatsu. He just has too much. Alvin going in. Alright, I think that's the GG call coming in just a second.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's safe to say congratulations to Omnius Gaming, because they are going to the next game in the upper bracket, and of course Carbon. Well, yeah, they're DCing. They are done. And
yeah, I mean, well played to both teams, and particularly well played, and congratulations to Omnius on that 2-0 victory. Very convincing and very impressive to watch, I've got to say. Thanks, Albert.
Yeah, I mean, don't go anywhere, guys. We do have actually a winners interview coming up shortly. I believe it's 626 that'll be joining us.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one, to hear what he has to say. But once again, it felt like Carbon, they had their moments. There was in fact a point. There was a point in this game, literally, because if you look at the graphs, it's just a point. But there was a point when they even had the game in their favor, Gaben himself said that they were going to win it. And then Omnia said, nah. And look at that. Just look at that.
No, it comes down to those timings again, Albert. It's okay. These are the items that we need, X, Y, and Z. In this case, it was the blinks and the MKBs. And in order to deal with Carbon, and as soon as Omnius had those items, they didn't hesitate. There was an immediate smoke up. They made the play to win a team fight, to go back and get the Aegis, and just from there it started snowballing. I mean, from the side of Carbon, they could have done the same thing. You know, wait for that BKB on the PA, push that. You know, finish the Greaves on the IO or whatever it is that they needed. And instead, I think that Omnius were just a little bit quicker onto the ball and onto realizing what it was what their win requirement was. And very nice to see. It's almost clinical, really, the way in which they approach that game.
Yeah, no, they look good. I mean, it's obviously, especially when we got to see Carbon play, that they were like a skilled side. They were able to hit their spells mostly, except when you auras punching creeps. But you know that happens. I mean, we can definitely forgive Elvin, because I think he was definitely my pick of the players from Carbon tonight. So I definitely forgive him for that one. But the point is, they can play Dota. They really can. But you know what the honest truth was? I mean, it's just looked great. Honestly, just looked great.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
All right, so I would like, let's take this opportunity to welcome 626, winning his first upper bracket matchup here alongside his teammates. 626, welcome to the broadcast. Great to have you here.
Hello.
How are you feeling? So how does that feel? Does that feel good? Do you feel good right now?
Yeah, that felt good. Yes, it did.
I mean, you had a killer game on your Wind Ranger, so I mean, probably a nice hero to go up against your opponents. I mean, kind of the old school battles with Puck versus Wind Ranger. Have you done a couple of those in your life?
Actually, that was actually one of the fewest ones I've done. So a new matchup for me.
Right. Well, honestly, once again, congratulations. Tell us what was going on in your camp, though. I mean, what was the... We were chatting at 2.9, we were discussing the fact that it felt like you guys knew how to just abuse your power spikes. Is that a fair reflection of what happened, or is there something else
Yes.
behind the scenes?
Yes. We were playing around all of our timings. Everything was pre-planned out, suspected the drafts they had, and when we hit power spikes, we just hit the pedal down non-stop.
Yeah, I've got to say, Henku, that with you having your MKB and Unique having the blink on the tiny, you guys immediately made your play. You guys pressured at the right times, even when it seemed a little bit scratchy. I mean, Carbon were team fighting very well early on and causing all sorts of trouble in that top lane for you guys. But yeah, again, really well done in the timings, and like you said, it looked like you guys had put the time in, and it looked like it was clinical. So very well played on that front.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Yeah. The top lane was a bit of a weird situation for a while.
Well, it's because it's because Speak to Unique put so much priority onto that large camp stack that they made, and they honestly just committed so much into it, and it cost them in the end. But instead of prioritizing that, in my opinion, I'm not you guys. They didn't pressure lane as much, and in the end, they lost the stack, and they lost that fight
Yeah.
trying to
Yep.
secure it. Yeah. Anyways, I also wanted to just say really well done. Like, I mean, I've seen you guys playing over the past sort of year or so, and your guys' performance tonight in your first upper bracket game at a VS Gaming tournament was really impressive, and especially well played to you. You've come leaps and bounds. You're definitely a talent that we're looking forward to seeing going forward.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
So before we can't release you just yet because I'm sure there's a lot of
Not yet.
there's a lot of unsaid things we're curious about. But I am curious to know what is like your mentality going into your next matchup after this one. I mean, are you guys riding a high right now? I mean, you looked really good. Do you feel like you've kind of hit like one of those like really good swings as a team, or was this something you expected with this result?
Honestly, it was kind of a bit expected. We have been training really hard. We've been getting ready for most of the teams we might be playing. So it was kind of expected, yes. It was maybe a bit more of a stomp than we thought it would have been. But yeah, everything went to plan. Going next into, I don't know, it's still Inex and XD probably playing still. It's gonna be a tough game. I feel ready for both of them in any case, but it's still a few days of prep before we're hitting that. So yeah.
Do you have any spoilers for us? Anything that we can expect without giving away too much?
Well, there's a lot of cheese heroes I can play, so you never know.
I see a Meepo ban there, and I believe you mentioned your Arc Warden before, so...
Don't forget the Visage.
The Visage or the Tinker or something.
Are there any micro-intensive heroes you don't play, out of curiosity?
Beastmaster, because he can't take it mid.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds about right, yeah.
All right, well, I think we're about ready to wrap it up here, but once again, congratulations on an impressive win. I think that be it XD, be it Inex, that upper bracket matchup is going to be an absolute killer. So best of luck to you guys going into it. Anything you want to say? Or do you have the attention of all the Dota fans in South Africa?
No, I'm just keen to play for the rest of the tournament. Sucks to wait for this long, but yeah.
I will bring you back for a panel or something. You can tell us your thoughts.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Awesome. But great. Thanks so much, guys. Once again, 66 from Omnis Gaming looking fantastic and taking their first victory here in the upper bracket. They, of course, will play against Inex or XD, depending on the outcome of that matchup. And who knows where they'll go to from there. But I think from us, it's been an absolute pleasure casting for you at 2.0. How much fun? I really enjoyed casting with you, sir. Thanks so much.
It was an incredible amount of fun. Thank you, Halvard. I really appreciate it, man. And thanks to everyone who came to watch us. And 66, thanks for making it entertaining, man. Have a great evening, everyone.
Pleasure, man.
Cool.
All right.
Cheers.
Well, can't beat that. So let's call it a night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Once again, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, for some more Dota 2 action. But for now, have a good evening. Cheers and goodbye.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.